When patients come here, they will feel safe from the minute they enter the hospital. As you drive into the premises, you're greeted by somebody who will show you the best place to park, and in the entrance somebody else will take your temperature, give you some protective masks, and that sense, carries through to all the clinical areas, ward and theatre environments where social distancing is rigidly applied. And so I think the message to our patients should be that if you need to come to hospital, then we will do everything in our power to make that a safe visit.
The most important thing is making sure that patients and staff are safe. We've staggered our appointment times, so we only have certain numbers of patients in the department at the same time. We have rearranged our waiting areas so we can separate patients. We are asking them to arrive on time, not to bring anybody with them. They can go straight in for their scans and with minimum fuss.
Patients clearly are going to have very definite anxieties about COVID and having surgery or having treatments at a time that COVID's still around in our society. But to be able to show them that we've got pathways that have kept our patients safe, that's going to be very, very important as we move forward.
Clearly it's been challenging times, but out of challenges comes innovation. We looked at the infrastructure of our hospital so that we could separate patients in respect of whether they're an inpatient or an outpatient. Simple things, so video and teleconferencing for our outpatients. And I think that innovation is here to stay, and we've been absolutely so proud of the team and what they've done to be able to provide the patient care that we have done.
We have impeccable infection prevention standards, and those standards we have fully embedded into all of our workforce. So this hospital has gone through a significant transformation. There are hand gel stations everywhere you turn in the hospital, and people are actively encouraged to use them, installing a huge number of additional hand wash basins, replacing old, tired, worn hand wash basins. So we are absolutely at the top of our game in terms of infection prevention.
Ultimately, you want what's best for the patient, and for some patients that will be perfectly fine to do via a telephone or virtually, but for some patients, for their best outcome, you will need to see them face to face and do some hands-on treatment with them. But then we're in our full masks, visors, gloves, aprons, and there's a very set system of where the patients go and their entrances and exits.
I think we all felt that we were doing something useful and worthwhile. I think everyone's risen to the challenge amazingly, and I'm really, really proud to work here.
As we come out and we start to de-escalate, exactly what we want to do is be able to bring our patients back to the hospital, those who have been waiting, those that are apprehensive, because clearly the requirement for them to have their operation hasn't gone away. So I would say to people, we have a safe environment for us to be able to deliver that quality care that they need.
Welcome to John Pye Auctions, the nation's favourite online auction house. In our online auctions, you can get everything you need, whether it's fashion, furniture, tech or white goods, all at a price you decide. Auction lots include a mix of ex-display, clearance, end-of-line, retail returns, insolvency stock and failed deliveries, plus fully functional lots covered by a John Pye warranty. Bidding online is quick and easy, so visit johnpye.co.uk to place your bids today.
Game on. Go easy on me.
Now the games are starting to come thick and fast as we head into the middle part of this year's T20 campaign. And after an away trip at the weekend to the Lancashire Lightning, tonight the boys are back on home soil and it is all about the Outlaws versus the Rapids, round 2. A very good evening and welcome to Trent Bridge Live for Vitality Blast action here at Trent Bridge. The sun is shining, the crowds are filling up, and do not worry, we will have ball-by-ball coverage for you of this game against the Worcestershire Rapids. Now, news from the middle is that Stephen Mullaney has won the toss and he has chosen to bowl. Now, let's take a look at the 11 that has been selected for this fixture. Well, the opening pairing when we choose to bat will be Alex Hale, and Joe Clark. Coming in at number 3 will be Sol Budinger, Ben Duckett, Tom Moores, Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney, the captain, Luke Fletcher, Matthew Carter, Calvin Harrison and Jake Ball make up your 11. Now, not so coming off the back of a draw against Lancashire at the weekend, and one of the pivotal members of the Notts squad that day was the number 23, Tom Moores. We caught up with him earlier this morning to talk all things Notts Outlaws.
Tom, congratulations on your contract extension with Nottinghamshire, another 3 years, which will eventually take you up to 9 years with us in the first team side of things. Tell us a little bit about how that all came about.
Yeah, well, obviously, been at the club now for a while, and got capped and stuff like that, and the club showed their commitment to me, and obviously nice to top it off with a 3-year deal. So over the moon to commit to the club and stay here, and it's a really exciting time to be in. There's loads of great players, so yeah, it's really pleased.
You mentioned being capped there. Did you know that was coming, or was it a bit of a shock that morning, or did you find out the day before?
No, it's a complete shock to me, to be fair. I didn't even, clock that my mum was there.
I was going to say, your mum, your family, and everybody was around.
Yeah, sister, all the family were there, all videoing me walking down. Still didn't clock. That's just classic me. And yeah, just thought, obviously, fans are back. They can't wait to watch some cricket.
You just thought your family were keen,
yeah,
I
thought they were keen. Yeah, I thought they literally couldn't wait. And then I sort of twigged, obviously, when I saw Reedy, and then I thought, actually, my mum and my sister and my girlfriend aren't that keen. They don't love cricket that much. And then I sort of twigged that maybe, after Ben got his, which was a great moment for us to get it together. Then obviously to top it off with Reedy getting, presenting me my cap was a really nice touch, and it was a really proud moment for me and the family.
So getting your cap is really important, obviously, to any player, but what does it mean to you after the amount of time you've spent with Outlaws, and you're still only 24 and all those kind of things?
Yeah, it means a huge amount. I think it's something that you strive to achieve as a player, as a young player. You see, obviously, all the people who have been captain in the past, and I think it's a sign of, performing for the club and committing to the club, and the hard work you've put in around the team and around the coaches have put into you. So I think it's just a combination of everything put together, really, and like I said, a commitment, the way the club sees you as a player. So I think it was a great moment, something I didn't see necessarily coming so soon, but a really proud moment for me, and something that's spurred me on just to kick on now and really step up and turn myself into a senior player at the club and try and drive this team to win more trophies and stuff.
Now, I would argue that you're a senior player already when you look at all the changes that have kind of happened in the squad over the last couple of years, and as I've just said, still only 24. When you started off and kind of joined Notts, did you think that you'd end up kind of that well ingrained into a team and that much of a kind of looked to senior player that quickly?
Not really, no. I think you're always trying. I've always sort of been somebody who's trying to lead. I think obviously you look at senior players and you think age, and you think they've got to be a certain age and played a certain amount of years. But I think the way the game's going now, you can lead from the front in any way at any age. It doesn't take a certain type of person to be a leader or a senior player. So I think we've got a great culture at Notts now that someone like a Calvin Harrison who's just come in and played a handful of games, or a Samit Patel who we've just seen obviously played all the games in the world. Both can be senior players at different times, and both can lead and have great ideas. So I think that's we've got that culture going at the club, which is a really powerful thing to have. I think something that I'm just trying to every game be a leader, try and influence in the right way on the pitch and off the pitch, and help guide any young players coming through to drive a culture forward, I think.
So obviously this new contract you've signed for all formats, and we know that you're committed to all formats at Nottinghamshire, but let's talk specifically about Outlaws. So we're on game day. What is it about that shortened format, the white ball, that makes you come alive?
I think it's the fast pacedness of it. Obviously, normally we get great crowds. It's great to obviously have them back now and obviously limited, but I think just everything about it. the fast pace and stuff, the music, it's very entertaining, I think, and I think that sort of suits my character. I want to entertain. I want to be the man, who puts on a show and hopefully wins, impacts the game and wins as a game. So I think all them things tick my boxes, I think, and yeah, it's obviously you can't help but love the format. T20 cricket is great to watch. It's very exciting. So and it's a completely different challenge to the red ball. I think it's both obviously I enjoy just as much as each other for different reasons, but I think that side of T20 cricket, stepping out in front of a crowd and trying to entertain and be the man of the match and win the game for your team is a great feeling and something that you dream about as a kid to do.
So you talked about being man of the match there, and obviously so far through this campaign it's felt like it hasn't kind of been left to one man to go out there and win a game. It's always kind of been a star in every kind of setup, as it were, and I'd kind of argue that against Lancs the other night you were there kind of leading the run scoring. Does it feel like you've kind of got a group of people around you that you can rely on, or how does that makeup sit in the team at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's one of our biggest strengths. I think we've got a team of 11 match winners, and I think each person backs everyone to win the game on that given day. I think that everyone wants to be that man, and I think if all of us step out there and we have the mentality that if we all walk out onto the pitch wanting to be the man of the match and win the game, if a few of us have a great day and come off, then normally that's enough in T20. We obviously know that it can't be everyone's day at the same time, and if it is, then we're normally a very dangerous side and we beat teams quite comfortably, but I think we know that doesn't happen, so we're hoping that somebody comes off in the batting or two people, and then obviously in the bowling it takes as a collective fielding and bowling to all pull together, and a couple of good overs here and there in T20 cricket can change the game. So definitely I think we all have that ability to win the game, and I think for different people to step up at different times is a great strength for the team.
And I would say you can sometimes slide up or down the order depending on the gameplay situation. How do you stay ready to get out there, and do you get advance warning that you're up next at that stage if you're going up the ladder?
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes you have to be a bit flexible, but it's sort of one of them. I know roughly where I'm going to go, and it's normally sometimes if we need a bit of an injection of to up the scoring rate or something like that, then I know I'm always ready, and towards the back end of the power play and outside the power play, that's when I'm sort of engaging and thinking I could go in at any stage here. So you have to be a bit flexible, but then again I'm sort of used to it now. It's that role came about I think after about 2017, and then it suited me really well and I really enjoyed it. I got really clear on how I was going to go about my business in that role, and I think the thing we do see with T20 is that there's very similar patterns, although no game's the same and different bowlers. The pattern of the game goes, obviously you have your power play set out and you've got the up front, middle, and then the death bowling at the end. So I think you can semi-plan if you do your research, and obviously with all the video analysis now on bowlers and stuff, so you can semi-prepare for what you're going to get, and then when it comes to game day, just go and let the instincts take over and try and put on a show.
So the last game saw you slide into the record books a little bit with Outlaws, specifically in T20 runs, knocking Lummy down a peg, and you're number 9th now, I think it is, in the top T20 run scorers for Outlaws. I kind of ask all players this, and I know it's a very similar answer, but do you go out there to hit those milestones, or do you just kind of create your career as it comes along?
Yeah, I think just as it comes along, really. You don't go out there to necessarily, I don't personally go out there to achieve milestones and personal accolades and stuff like that. I think you go out there to enjoy your cricket, and my main goal is to try and do whatever's required for the team at that given time and play the situation, and that sort of takes the pressure off me, I think, and gives me the freedom to do what I believe Notts requires at that time in whatever format it is, and I think that's the best way, and then all the personal milestones and stuff like that hopefully take care of themselves, and obviously they're nice to hear at times, and they keep you just checking that you're on the right track and you're doing well, but at the same time the next game and that, you know, right back to the next moment is probably the most important thing for me. So that's what I try and keep it as clear as possible.
So let's talk about the Lancashire game. Obviously the last game that we played, it was a away fixture. That final ball of Fletcher's over, the final ball of the game. We obviously saw it on the stream, but what goes through your mind and what did you see as part of that delivery? Because there was a lot going on around that ball. Fletcher had quite a successful over until the ball before. Describe that from your kind of standpoint in the game.
Yeah, it all happens so quickly. I think obviously everyone, from my point of view, everyone has their own, you sort of pan out the next ball, what you think is going to happen or what you would do in that moment. And obviously we all know it's very easy to do that when you haven't got to deliver the ball. So I think, you know, everyone's probably doing the same sort of thing. And then as Fletcher's about to bowl it, you're getting ready to do your job. And all I'm thinking is stop the ball. Just, you know, I've got to get something on this ball, whether it's, you know, I'm planning for a wide Yorker personally, and I'm thinking as soon as it goes there, you know it could hit, you know, the footholes, the crease, and you can't judge how it's going to bounce. So I'm preparing for pretty much the hardest take possible, probably come a little bit closer because obviously you know they're going to run, and then also getting ready to run to the stumps when he connects with it and it goes to a fielder. And then as we saw, it went to Mull, bobbled a bit on the outfield, and Mull, there was a little bit of there's that panic situation where it sort of happens in slow-mo, but it happens really quick, where it didn't go in cleanly, and you know it's all happening so fast. And to be fair to him, he recovered quickly, got it in, and then luckily obviously took it and took the stumps, but had a little bit of a scary moment because I was behind the stumps, and when he threw it in, it didn't quite bounce as I thought it would, so I had to go over the top of the stumps, which is always a bit of a scary moment. But yeah, thankfully in the end they didn't get the two, and then ended up in a tie. But yeah, it all seems to happen really quickly, and then almost in slow-mo as well. It almost, you see everything. You see the bad, the good, the best case scenario, the worst case scenario. You're hoping everyone does their role, and then ultimately, you know, you sort of narrow it down into what do I need to do right now, and then that's it really.
So I normally play this game around the championship fixtures, and I haven't given you forewarning, so we're going to see what you come out with. But I play the 3-word game, and the three words I want you to come up with is to describe what you think of the Outlaws' performances in T20 so far. So 3 words, off you go.
Powerful. Flair.
Okay.
Dominant.
Nice. Great set of words though, and I know we actually talk about language quite a lot in the dressing room, and it's very, very important to the Notts squad as a whole. But thanks for joining us today, Tom. Thank you for inviting us into your lovely home, and we will see you on the field a little bit later on.
We are literally moments away from the start of play, so it's time for me to hand you over to your match commentary team and match coverage, and the voice you will hear next is that of Dave Bracegirdle.
Well, a very good evening to you, everybody. Welcome to Trent Bridge. A blustery evening, but the sun is out. It's going to be fine. We're going to be okay for the weather, for a match which could potentially take Notts to the top of the North Group with a win. But I say that with a little bit of trepidation, because those perennial party poopers, the Worcestershire Rapids, are in town. They've won here on their last 3 visits. They've won 5 of their last 6 trips here, and they are, as I say, perennial party poopers. They come to town loitering just outside the top 5 in the North Group. They'll clearly be looking to turn Notts over here this evening. The news from the toss is that Stephen Mullaney has been successful, and he has opted to chase this evening. We saw that go spectacularly wrong the last time he made that decision here against Birmingham Bears, who rattled up close to 230. But Notts will be chasing. They're on the way out to the field, led by their skipper. So Worcestershire will be batting first. Welcome to our coverage. BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Hereford and Worcester sharing the duties. I'm Dave Bracegirdle, and alongside me this evening, the man that Sister Sledge wrote a song about. It's dear old Frankie himself, Coach Frank Watson.
Good evening, David. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, lovely to be here as the fireworks go off. I'll be shooting off very shortly to give BBC Hereford and Worcester FM listeners a very, very early update, but looking forward to another great game between these two sides. We've already had a tie this season, so and Notts have had another tie since then, of course, but hoping for a similarly close one tonight, Dave.
No Moeen Ali this evening for the Rapids.
No, and a big loss, not just for his bat, for his bowling and his runs, but the effect, the galvanising effect that he has on the rest of the side. They often talk about it, the other players, and say that they're a much more confident unit when he's there. But he's played his part so far, off on England duty now, and they'll have to cope without him. And Ben Cox leads the side for the first time tonight, which will be interesting.
11th different skipper, I believe, for the Rapids in T20 cricket. We wish Ben well going forward, but obviously this evening the home support very much looking forward to seeing a continuation of the Nottinghamshire unbeaten run of 4, which certainly was threatened at Old Trafford on Sunday. Notts won 3 in a row, and then another tie. Their second, as Frank said, of this group of matches this season. They're third in the last 9 matches. So it's going to be Worcestershire Rapids to bat first. Talking of familiarisation, Ricky Vessels is out there, the former Nottinghamshire opener, of course, the first Outlaws batsman to score a century in T20 cricket, and his old buddy, his old teammate Samit Patel to bowl the first over of the match. We're underway with Patel bowling one that just gripped and turned a little bit, went through Vessels there and took him by surprise. Tom Moores, who you may have heard in a very entertaining and interesting chat with Kirsty, those of you following the live stream just before the game, with the gloves on, of course. Moores this evening. Vessels will drop this on the leg side, and he's up and running. The Notts side unchanged: Joe Clark, Alex Hales, Sol Budinger, Ben Duckett, Tom Moores, Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney, Luke Fletcher, Matt Carter, Calvin Harrison and Jake Ball. Brett D'Oliveira, his Vessels opening partner, just taken guard from umpire Debenham, and in comes Patel to bowl him. Edge caught, wicket for Samit Patel in the first over, and Brett D'Oliveira goes. First ball gobbled up by Stephen Mullaney, and the Rapids are 1 for 1. Lovely sharp catch indeed from Stephen Mullaney, and Samit just getting a little bit of turn. Tentative push at it from D'Oliveira, and Mullaney has pouched a safe catch. The Rapids 1 for 1 in the first over, just the third ball of the match. New man is Tom Fell. In obviously much earlier than here his side would have wanted. We're doing an update for Radio Nottingham in just a second. Vessels has gone down to greet Tom Fell to the crease, just have a little word with his batting partner, fellow right-hander Tom Fell. First ball pushed into the offside, no run. So here is that radio update. And we're in the first over here. Notts in the field after Stephen Mullaney won the toss. We're in the first over, and already Samit Patel, who's bowling it, has picked up a wicket. Third ball of the match. Brett D'Oliveira just had a little bit of a nibble at it and edged it through to slip, where Stephen Mullaney pouched the catch. Notts 4 unbeaten. That was as a continuation of 3 wins and then a tie at Old Trafford on Sunday. So they've gone into this one, as you say, knowing that a win will take them to the top of the North Group. They've made a fine start. Worcestershire 2 for 1 in the first over. There is Patel bowling to Vessels, who defends it. Top stuff from Samit Patel. wicket to him, and just what Notts would have wanted. Very decent crowd in. Understand they're hoping for. They're expecting the full 4,000 in that are allowed, are permitted under the current guidelines and regulations, and it is lovely to see Trent Bridge with a very healthy crowd in here. The Worcestershire side, by the way, Ricky Vessels and Brett D'Oliveira opening, Tom Fell 3, Jake Libby, Ben Cox, Ross Whiteley, Ed Barnard. The two overseas players, Ben Dorsus, the Australian left-arm quick, Ish Sodhi, the New Zealand leg spinner who had a couple of seasons with Notts, and then two more right-arm fast mediums, Dylan Pennington and Charlie Morris. Luke Fletcher to bowl the second over. Bit of pace on the ball, bowling to Tom Fell from the pavilion end, and this is hit back towards Fletcher, who just parries it down and will be happy that he's started with a dot ball. So do a little double check there at Luke. I just wonder if there's a little bit of peroxide in there, is there? Maybe it's the sun just shining, but just looks to be a little fairer haired than the last time I saw him, which was Sunday. Might just be the sunshine. 2 for 1. Fell on strike, works this off his hips out onto the leg side. Only be a single there. Ben Duckett doing the fielding. Duckett on the leg side fence, about to be joined, I think, by Jake Ball, who's been pushed out there. So 2 leg side boundary riders for Ricky Vessels. They know how dangerous he is. 3 for 1. Don't necessarily think the Worcestershire or the Rapid supporters have yet seen him at his absolute best. Well, this be the evening. I'm sure he's relishing the opportunity to come back to Trent Bridge and put bat to ball. Here is Fletcher, who got him first ball in the championship match, and that one just got a little big on Ricky Vessels, pushes it out on the offside. Samit Patel fields. Frank's back alongside me, having done his update for BBC Hereford and Worcester. A wicket already.
Yeah, a bit of a shock, really, that one. For regulation, wasn't it? Just pushed forward to a good delivery from Patel. I mean, the very first ball of the game almost brought a wicket, didn't it? Went right through Ricky Vessels, and then getting D'Oliveira with his third ball, D'Oliveira's first.
There's Fletcher.
Bad start.
Halfway through the second over here. Vessels works it away on the leg side for another single. 4 for 1. John Pinkson's been in touch. I presume you know him. My former teacher, Frank Watson, on commentary alongside Dave this evening.
John who?
John Pinkson.
No, I don't know him.
The perfect match. My home county and my adopted county are playing, and my former teacher, Frank Watson's on commentary alongside Dave this evening.
I don't know. I wonder which school that was. Maybe he could tell us. Maybe he can get back in touch and tell us.
Give me some goss, John. Give me some goss. Give me some dirt on him. Fell is on strike. Both batsmen have 2. Here is Fletcher bowling, and dropped onto a decent line of length here, Frank, early on.
Yeah, nice time. Well, I suppose, nice time to come on with a wicket having just gone in that first over, I suppose, when you bowl in the second over, because the batsman just a little bit unsettled by that. If they've got 5 or 6 off the first over without loss, maybe they're just a bit calmer. But yeah, a great first over from Samit Patel, right on the mark with every delivery.
There's Fletcher. Final ball of this over. Can he get out of it unscathed? Well, it's pulled away on the leg side. It'll fall short of Duckett out there. And they only get a single, so Worcestershire at the moment 5 singles from the 12 balls sent down, and Luke Fletcher will be more than happy to get through his opening over with just 3 runs on the board. Not entirely sure what sort of weather they're having down south, but a 7 o'clock start this evening at Hove. Forget it if you've got tickets. Sussex versus Glamorgan. They must have had some rain down there, Frank. Has been called off already. Underwater at Hove.
Yeah. I know there's been some heavy rain in the south. We've got away with it a little bit, haven't we? Lovely evening here. Outfield's looking pretty lush after the recent rain. Good strip, I think. But hint of turn for Patel in that first over. He starts his second over now from the Radcliffe Road end, and he gets his second wicket as Fell is beaten, comes down the pitch, goes for a big heave-ho, and even though Tom Moores dropped the ball, so far down was Tom Fell that Moores was able to pick the ball up and still take the bails off in time to stump Tom Fell. So a very, very loose shot from Tom Fell, and a second wicket for Samit Patel, who's finding things very much to his liking. Well, not just tonight, this season. He's having a great season in this T20 competition. But he started tonight, bowled his first over, got a wicket, and he's picked up a second wicket with just his 7th ball, and Worcestershire are in real trouble now, 5 for 2 in just the 3rd over.
And more good news for Samit, because he started this evening on 98 T20 wickets at Trent Bridge. He's now obviously got those 2 wickets in his first 7 balls to take him to 100 wickets at Trent Bridge. And after Shakib Al Hassan at Mirpur, not sure where Mirpur is, I don't know if that's Chittagong, but Mirpur in Bangladesh, Samit is only the 2nd player in world cricket to take 100 T20 wickets on one ground.
And he comes in now to bowl to the new batsman, his former teammate Jake Libby. He's round the wicket, he bowls, and Libby pushes this out on the onside, and nicely fielded at mid-wicket by Duckett, and there's no run. 5 for 2 Worcestershire in the 3rd over, having been put into bat. Patel in again, bowls, and Libby is off the mark this time, just tucking that one away on the leg side for a single. So the 2 men to go. Brett D'Oliveira caught at first slip by Stephen Mullaney off one from Patel that maybe just held it to him, maybe just turned a little bit, and then Tom Fell stumped by Tom Moore's stranded. Even though Moore's dropped the ball, still had time to pick it up and get the bails off. So far down was Fell, and Patel's going to get another wicket now because Vessels has gone for a big hit on the leg side. He's got a leading edge and he's skied it to backward point, where I think it's Matt Carter who takes the catch. Worcestershire are in desperate straits, 6 for 3 in just the 3rd over, and Ricky Vessels has gone for 2.
Well, crikey, that's pretty much all you can say, isn't it, about this start? 6 for 3 after 16 balls of the match. Just wondering, I was just about to say, Vessels and Libby together, wouldn't it be just typical for 2 former Outlaws? Because we've seen it in the past, Frank, I'm sure you have at Worcester, former players coming back and taking their toll against their former county, but not to be. Samit Patel is having the night of his life here. He's 3 for 3 after 10 balls.
Welcome to captaincy, Ben Cox, who comes out now batting at 5. And Worcestershire really on the ropes here. I mentioned in my last commentary that Ish Sodhi chatted to me after the game at Northampton and said, you know, teams that lose 3 wickets in the power play rarely win the game. Well, Worcestershire have lost 3 wickets in the first 3 overs here. Talk about on the back foot. Patel in, round the wicket to Cox, who's forward, pushes out on the leg side. Suddenly the game looks very difficult, doesn't it? There's no run there. You can see 2 batsmen come out and start smashing it around, and it looks easy, and who'd be a bowler? But you take 3 early wickets like this and it's nerves all round. Patel is in now and bowls to Cox, who pushes this on the onside end of a magnificent over from Samit Patel. Picked up another wicket, just 1 run off the over. Picked up 2 wickets, just 1 run off the over, and Worcestershire 6 for 3 after 3 overs. Sorry, 3 runs off the over.
Yeah,
I'll get it right in a minute.
No, 1 run off the over.
Run.
1 run off the
1
over.
run, 6 for 3, and Patel with the remarkable figures of 2 overs, 3 for 3.
Quite extraordinary. Jake Ball's going to bowl the 4th over. Yeah, just to repeat that clumsy stat then. So Samit has now taken 100 T20 wickets at Trent Bridge alone. We were celebrating last Friday him getting 250 wickets in T20 cricket. Well, 100 of them have come here at Trent Bridge, and there's only Shakib Al Hassan at Mirpur, his home ground in world cricket. He's the only other one to do it. Here's Jake Ball, former England international, 6 for 3, bowling to Jake Libby, who held Worcestershire together. There's a little push and run here, and had Samit been able to pick it up, I don't think he'd have been able to execute the run out, because Libby's he's quick as the rabbit that they release before the old greyhounds, is Jake Libby. And they take a single. 7 for 3. Jake Libby held Worcestershire together at New Road in that first match, didn't he, with an unbeaten 52, and in the end it was so vital as he got Worcestershire up to 152 and Notts couldn't overhaul it.
John Pinson has replied, Dave. I'm relieved. He says, no dirt on Frank, a thoroughly good bloke, when our paths crossed at King's Worcester. It was at King's Worcester. Well, I don't remember, John. Vaguely, the name is coming back. But anyway, thank you for that.
It's ball in Bowles, clipped away on the bounce to Samit Patel. Now, he's everywhere, Patel, isn't he? Absolutely everywhere. Unable to stop them getting a single. That's Ben Cox, the new Worcestershire skipper. The 11th, by the way. I don't know how many. If we get a break in play, perhaps Frank will trot out the other 10 for you. I've got the little list
this
here.
This is T20 captains, is it? T20 captains.
T20 captains for Worcestershire since it started. We'll wait until there's a little break. 8 for 3. There might be a hand sanitising break or some such at some point as Libby clips this out on the leg side. In comes Duckett. And another single taken. Am I right, Frank? We've only had singles so far.
Yeah, but you are. It's extraordinary, isn't it? 9 singles were in the 4th over.
Yeah, midway through the 4th. Welcome one and all if you're joining us for the first time, either the BBC Sport website and app or via one of the live streams. There are pictures available via the live streams as ball comes in and bowls, and this is dropped on the leg side by Cox, and there's no run. Our umpires this evening, if we haven't done that for you, is Ian Blackwell, who's at the pavilion end. Ben Debenham is at our end of the ground. Tim Boone, the former Leicestershire opening batsman, is the match referee. Our scorers, Roger Marshall and Sue Drinkwater, and as ever, Ian Smith working the big screens so efficiently here at Trent Bridge. 3 wickets to Samit Patel. Jake Ball comes in to Ben Cox, clipped away on the leg side, out to Duckett. Will they come back for the first 2 of the evening? They've got to be quick. Oh, crikey, they have got back for 2, but a kind of bounce there, and Jake Ball might have been in business to whip off the bails. Couple of runs taken, 11 for 3. Sort of almost at that stage where they've got to take whatever they can now out of this power play and perhaps just take on the arm of 1 or 2 fielders.
Yeah, it's just nerves, isn't it? Everything's nervous, isn't it? The running, the throwing, it's a game on edge, isn't it, at the moment?
Here's ball. Final ball of the over. It's up in the air, and it's going to be another one. Nerves, nerves, nerves. Stephen Mullaney, nerveless, takes his second catch of the evening, and Ben Cox is having the captaincy debut of his worst nightmare. It's 11 for 4. Just went straight up in the air, and Mullaney, who is Notts Outlaws' leading catcher in T20 cricket once again, courtesy of those 2 that he's taken this evening. He's just leapt ahead of Alex Hales again. Was never going to drop that. Cox caught Mullaney ball for 3, just faced 6 balls. It's 11 for 4. Early night, Frank.
Oh, it's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, I think we've all seen collapses of various kinds in various forms of cricket. I don't think I've ever seen a team lose 4 wickets batting first in a T20 unless it's been in a 5 over slog or something like that. It's
in such a haphazard manner. I mean, amazing. Tom Fell was nearly run out. He was. Yeah. I don't think Tom Morse took it cleanly, did he?
No, he dropped it. He dropped it and then picked it up and still had time to stump him by a mile.
I mean, that's sort of the ultimate insult to a batsman, stumped when the keeper doesn't even take it cleanly and still has time. It's going to be a bit more Samit for you to enjoy.
11 for 4 off 4 overs. Patel round the wicket, but he didn't think he was going to bowl 3 at the start of this. This one turns a little bit and is pushed out on the offside by Jake Libby, but not with any great confidence. There's Patel again. In bowls, and Libby is taken on the pad by this one, which runs out on the onside. They go through for a leg bye, the first extra of the innings. Still nothing more than a single for any shot so far. Oh, they had 1-2, didn't they, when Cox played it away in that last over? I beg your pardon. Yeah. And the men out then. D'Oliveira 0, Fell 3, Vessels 2, Cox 3. 3 wickets for Samit Patel, 1 for Jake Ball, and Worcestershire 12 for 4 in just the 5th over. Ross Whiteley is the new batsman. Normally a pugnacious player, and often one feels he comes in T20s and he hasn't got time to play an innings. Well, he's certainly got time tonight because he's in. I could not possibly have expected to be in at this time. Patel staying around the wicket to the left-hander with a leg slip, bowls, and Whiteley pushes out on the onside. And Fielder is Carter at mid-wicket. There's no run. Leg slip suggesting that Patel is getting a little bit of turn. He's in, he bowls, and Whiteley drives on the offside, but straight to the fielder at short extra cover. Joe Clark, I think, is it?
Yes.
And again, no run. Field is in. What? This could have been the lowest scoring power play ever. Patel bowls, and Whiteley clips to mid-wicket again, and there's no run. I mean, you feel for Whiteley coming in now because he can't play his natural game. He's desperately inhibited. They've just got to get through a few overs without losing a wicket, haven't they? And he plays and misses at this one. Tom Moores doesn't take it cleanly. It runs away down to short third man. There's no run. End of the over. Just one run coming from it. 12 for Worcestershire. And Samit Patel, I don't know what his best figures are, but I'm betting he's never had better figures after 3 overs than 3 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 3.
I think they're 4 for 5 off the top of my head.
Amazing.
12 for 4. One thing I just want to pop out there, perhaps it's the analyst, perhaps it's Peter Moores, perhaps it's Stephen Mullaney. Samit will have agreed to it, whatever. But on Sunday at Old Trafford, Samit didn't bowl in the power play. He's bowled 3 overs in this
Amazing.
one. So somebody's gut or somebody looking at the Worcestershire top order has thought, well, Samit's going to do a job. Here's Matt Carter from the pavilion end. His first over. Got to keep the pressure on a little bit.
See, I thought Carter.
Oh, there's a bit of a real Horlicks there. I was going to say, got to keep the pressure on, keep it tight, and Joe Clark has just stepped over that one. Sol Budinger, it'll be your first look at Sol
seen him on
Budinger.
TV. No, I was going to say I thought Carter would bowl the first over because that's been the pattern, hasn't it? And I wonder if Patel would have bowled 3 if he hadn't had such success.
Well, he wouldn't.
May just as well bowl 1. Yeah.
Incredible. His figures are up on the board. 3 overs, 1 maiden. It says 3 for 3. So that was a leg by in that over, wasn't it?
Yeah, incredible.
So he's got a maiden.
He's loving it, isn't he? He's loving it. He must be just thinking, it's made for me, this game.
Notts have got a slip in the 6th over. Oh, this is down the leg side. So we've started here in this Carter over with a misfield that should have been a comfortable dot ball, but they took a single. And a leg side wide. This one's cut away. Will it be stopped? It will. So decent work there by Duckett, who by and large is a very capable, very sound fielder in particularly this format. I was going to say all formats, but generally in longer cricket he feels in the slip cord and clipped away by Jake Libby. There'll only be a single. This is Calvin Harrison, who made his Notts debut in that match at New Road. Comes in and fields 16 for 4. Matt Carter halfway through his first over. He's actually bowled 4 balls, of course, because one of them was a wide. Next ball just played gently on the leg side by Whiteley. As Frank said, it's not Whiteley's natural game. You ideally want him coming in, if you're a Worcestershire supporter, probably 14th, 15th, 16th over with 150, 160 on the board and a licence to really set about the bowlers, but a very different challenge awaits him here. Budinger's going to have to chase after this one. There might be another 2. They will. This is incidentally, of course, he had a number of years with Derbyshire, Ross Whiteley, at the start of his career. They did take 2, but this is his 99th T20 game for Worcestershire. So there's a stat for you for tomorrow night on your way up to Yorkshire. As Libby comes down the track to Carter, clips it on the leg side. They take a single. It's the end of the over, the most expensive one of the innings. 8 runs coming from it. But after 6 overs, after the power play, Worcestershire are 20 for 4. Yes, 20 for 4. 3 wickets to Patel, including a maiden, and 1 to Jake Ball.
And I wonder if I can't remember a power play where a boundary hasn't been scored.
No.
I must say that is extraordinary, isn't it? 20 for 4, and the fans are loving it. Samit's gone down to field on the boundary in front of the Smith Cooper stand, and even though we haven't got a big crowd in, he's got a right good round of applause down there, and rightly so. He's deserved it. Magnificent spell from Samit Patel.
You'd say he was helped a little bit, wouldn't you?
Well, but you can only get out the batsmen that are in front of you.
You can. You know, it was terrific, but fell charging, was stumped by a country mile.
Yeah.
Vessels hit one straight up in the air. D'Oliveira just.
D'Oliveira just too good for first ball,
yeah,
I
decent
suppose,
ball,
really,
yeah.
Calvin Harrison is the new bowler coming on at the Radcliffe Road end and bowls now. His first ball is pushed out on the onside by Libby.
He's a leggy, Frank. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know too much about him. Oxford University, came here pre-season game, scored a century, so impresses with the bat, and bowled some nice leggies. Not like the look of him. Gave him a trial, and
here he is. Yeah.
He played 2 T20 games for Hampshire last year.
Okay.
But they didn't follow up. Mason Crane was out injured, so that's perhaps why they had a bit of a look at him.
Well, good for Notts for picking him up. And he comes now and bowls, and that is a nicely flighted leg break. Pushed out on the offside by Ross Whiteley for a single. Hint of turn, I thought, for Samit Patel from this Radcliffe Road end. So if there is a bit of help in the surface, the wrist spinner is slightly more likely to find it. 22 for 4. He's in again now, and he bowls, and that one takes Libby on the pad and drops down on the offside. Tom Moores comes from behind the stumps to field it. Nice time to come on, I must say, for Calvin Harrison, but he's made a good start. He's landed his first 3, and his fourth is a little bit short, cut by Libby, but straight to the fielder at backward point.
And as well, bowling to Libby, the odds are that Jake isn't going to come charging down the track, trying to whack him over over the roof.
No, he's just
Ross might, but Jake certainly won't.
He's got to stick in now, hasn't he? This one's a little bit short, and Libby, as on the back foot, drives out on the offside, but only gets a single because Duckett is quickly round on the boundary on the offside to field. 23 for 4. Libby, the first player to double figures. He has 10. Whiteley has 3. Worcestershire in desperate straits. 23 for 4 as Harrison bowls short to Whiteley, who drives out into the offside, straight to Patel in the covers. There's no run. End of a tidy over from Calvin Harrison. No variations in it. 6 leg breaks in that over, but tidy it was, and it only went for 3 runs, and at the end of the over, Worcestershire are 23 for 4.
Yeah, he's got decent control actually from the games I've seen him so far. You often with a leggy, as you know yourself, you'll often get the odd half tracker, won't you? That's put away, but we're not jinxing him by saying it. But he doesn't tend to be troubled too much by the odd half tracker. Flights it nicely, gets it up there, and just gives it a little bit of turn. Here is one of Nottinghamshire's Mr. T20s, one of the most popular outlaws in these parts since Robin Hood. It's Stephen Mullaney, the skipper, 23 for 4. Couple of catches for Mullaney. Again, he's done his side a real service here by winning the toss, although of course he flicked it up in the air. It was Ben Cox that called incorrectly. Mullaney to bowl to the right-handed Libby, who's on 10. There is Mullaney. Libby comes at him, drives it back past Mullaney, who just gets his left hand on it. And the importance of that was they're only going to get 2 runs, because otherwise it would have been the first boundary of the evening. I think Notts are just going to swap a couple of fielders over here. Luke Fletcher was at mid-off. He wasn't involved there, but he would have had to chase after it, I think, if Mullaney hadn't got a hand on it. Alex Hales has gone down the ground, ready for the big hit should it come, but Libby works it away off his hips. They'll only get 1. 26 for 4. 3 wickets to Samit Patel, 1 to Jake Ball. Still to come Ed Barnard, Ben Dorsus, Ish Sodhi, Dylan Pennington and Charlie Morris. Happy with Dorsus?
Dorsus, as in cautious, is the way they pronounce it, I'm told, or that's what I've been saying, and I think he's not complained yet, so it might be right. Dorsus, yeah, he's done well actually. He's got better as the competition's gone on.
Tom Moore standing up to the stumps here, just trying to keep Ross Whiteley in his ground. Former Derbyshire man, and I realise I'm going back a decade in saying that, forces it into the offside for another couple.
Ben Dorsus, yeah, he's tended to bowl a little bit more expensively at the beginning of the innings, but he's come back and bowled very, very well at the end in 2 or 3 games.
28 for 4. Here's Mullaney into the left-handed Whiteley, hits it back to him. His first match, of course, the first game in the group was that tie at New Road. He looked a little nervy, and I guess it's to be expected. I don't think he's done a great deal of travelling around the world in franchise
first time in
cricket.
England. First time in England, I think.
He looked a little nervy, but followed his progress. Seems to be improving game by game as a Whiteley heave onto the leg side will only bring another single. Been playing for half an hour, and we'll be doing our radio updates respectively. Frank speaking to the listeners of BBC Hereford and Worcester. I'll be doing an update in just a moment for BBC Radio Nottingham. And half an hour ago, when we last did one, could scarcely have imagined what might have lay ahead. 29 for 4, still no boundaries as Mullaney into Libby. Little push to mid-on. They might just have gone for 2 there, but they didn't. Single taken, and Mullaney's over. His first goes for 7 runs, 30 for 4. Worcestershire Rapids here on BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Hereford and Worcester. After 8 overs, Ross Whiteley has 6. Jake Libby's the top scorer, made 14 here from 17 deliveries. But it was a catastrophic start, and it's not got much better, with Brett D'Oliveira out in the first over, and then Samit Patel in the third over, his second, dismissing Tom Fell and Ricky Vessels, and then he came back for a little more by Jake Ball dismissed Ben Cox in the fourth. It's going to be Harrison, and he comes, bowls, another single to be taken. 31 for 4. So now the left-handed Whiteley on strike. Will he be targeting the Fox Road side of the ground here? The leg spinner will be bringing the ball back into him. And a bit of a swish. 32 for 4. Well, the most dramatic of starts here, you have to say, because Worcestershire are 32 for 4, but that really does represent something of a fight back. When I last spoke to you just after the 6 o'clock news, Samit Patel had taken a wicket in the first over. In his next over, the third of the innings, he picked up 2 more wickets to leave Worcestershire 6 for 3. Then Jake Ball came on and he got rid of Ben Cox. So Worcestershire at that stage were 11 for 4 after 4 overs. As I say, the fight back is on, but very, very slowly. At the moment, with Jake Libby on 15, former Notts player of course, Ross Whiteley, former Derbyshire man, on 7. We're in the 9th over, Worcestershire 32 for 4. Couple of runs taken there. I think they were leg buys, just while we're doing that update for BBC Radio Nottingham. Is Harrison in again? This one's chipped into the offside by Libby. Again, it won't find the ropes, and Duckett doing the fielding. 2 more. Sarah asking me what the lowest power play is. I don't know, Sarah, I don't know, but if you've got some time on your hands, or anybody's got some time on their hands, I don't know where you'd start looking actually. 36 for 4 at the moment. Oh, a thickish outside edge here by Libby. He's been a little fortunate. Matt Carter again will restrict them to 2. He loses his foot in there, the big lad. Matt Carter, brother of Andy Carter, of course. Worcestershire supporters will remember Andy, the big fast bowler who started here with Notts, but finished his career with a little spell at New Road. Went lots of other places in between. 38 for 4 is the score after 9 overs. Calvin Harrison 2 overs, none for 9. Stephen Mullaney 1 over for 7, but he's going to bring Matt Carter back. Carter, he bowled the 6th over that went for 8 runs. We still haven't had a boundary, and this is the 10th over of the innings. 38 for 4. Here is Carter to bowl to Whiteley on 7. Can't get this first ball away. Any of you amateur or professional statos out there can have some sort of idea of where you'd begin to look. There's an LBW appeal here. Ian Blackwell says not out. That's where you might start searching for the lowest power play. Very interesting to see. 39 for 4. I'm sure there's been some that have been lower than this one. Worcestershire's 20 for 4, but it would be interesting to have some sort of comparison where it stood. 39 for 4, Libby back on strike on 19. Carter bowls, Libby backs away, trying to cut it on the offside, misses it, and it goes through to Moores. And another dot ball. Just one run from 3 deliveries in this over, the one that will take us to the halfway stage. Next ball is chopped away by Libby. Luke Fletcher gets round to it, and they're going to come back for 2. Fletcher not the speediest across the ground there, and it becomes 2. 41 for 4. Libby on to 21. Got just about half of the runs. There's Carter in again to Libby. He'll chop this into the offside. There'll be another single. Jake Ball out there in front of the Smith Cooper stand, away to our right. Apologises for a slightly errant throw. 42 for 4. Libby has 22. Last ball of the over. Sooner or later Whiteley's got to give it the big wind up. Will it be now? No, just cuts it into the offside and there's no run. So at the halfway stage, Worcestershire Rapids, who were asked to bat first by Stephen Mullaney, 42 for 4. They lost D'Oliveira for 0, Vessels for 2, Fell for 3 and Cox for 3. But this partnership now worth 31 from 37 balls.
42 for 4 at the halfway stage is dismal, isn't it, really? Not a single boundary in the first 10 overs. I don't think I can remember that in a T20 game before, and can't really attach any blame to these two who came together when the score was 11 for 4, but it's going to take something extraordinary from somebody if Worcestershire are going to set anything meaningful in this game. Calvin Harrison is continuing from the Radcliffe Road end. He bowls a full toss to Libby, who pulls it, sort of paddles it round the corner straight to Samit Patel on the backward square leg boundary, and they get a single. I mean, that's the sort of ball that in the 11th over you'd expect to be smashed out of the ground, but these are not normal circumstances. Here's Harrison again, bowls to Whiteley, who goes for a big flat batted whack down the ground, but straight to Joe Clark down at long on, and they only get a single. Signs that Whiteley is itching to open his shoulders, I think. He goes to 8 off 16 balls. Libby is 23 off 26. Harrison into bowl to Libby, short. Libby pulls and gets a single up to long on, where Hales does the fielding. Lovely time for these bowling in T20s is desperately difficult at the best of times, but I can't imagine that these bowlers have ever bowled with less pressure on than at the moment. Harrison in bowls to Whiteley, and Whiteley sweeps down to deep backward square leg, but only gets a single. And Worcestershire still waiting for their first boundary. We're in the 11th over, 2 balls left in the 11th over. 46 for 4. Harrison in, bowls to Libby, who chips this up in the air on the offside. Knew what he was doing, just stopped the shot, because otherwise he would have given a dolly to Joe Clark coming in from long off. As it is, it just drops in front of Clark, and they take another single, but singles certainly not bothering Notts at the moment. What a power play. 20 for 4 in the power play. I've never seen anything like it before. Harrison in bowls, and that might be a googly, and Whiteley has whacked it straight down the ground, and that's the first boundary of the innings. Ironic cheers from the Notts faithful as Worcestershire finally reach the ropes. End of the over. 51 for 4. Whiteley 13, Libby 25. 11 overs gone.
Yeah, the 66th legitimate delivery. We did have a wide earlier on, didn't we? So the 66th legitimate delivery hit away for the first boundary of the evening. But Whiteley certainly been looking to eye up a big shot. That's just got to be careful that he doesn't totally dominate. You could do with him out, because 9 overs of Ross Whiteley could still put a decent score on the board. Here's Carter from the pavilion end, bowling to Libby, who just continues to work it around. A little push and run. Samit Patel spears it in, but Whiteley was quickly down to this end. He's hungry, he's eager to get back on strike, and I fancy he might look to target that leg side boundary. 2 men out there on the fence, one just behind square, one in front of square. Carter, big tall man, gets a little bit of bounce, and this one's hit back past him. I think it was a ball that was drilled into the ground anyway. There were one or two just wondering if Carter's dive had reeled it in, would have seen the end of Whiteley, but I'm pretty sure it bounced anyway. 53 for 4. Libby back on strike on 26. Gone to pull this away, and again he's hit it nicely. A good connection from Jake Libby, who's just trying to improvise a little bit. Gets a single. 54 for 4.
Talked about pressure, didn't we? They haven't put the pressure on the bowlers at all. That's the thing, isn't it?
Carter in. Whiteley has had a big heave-o at that, and just very nearly run out as Luke Fletcher from short fine leg throws it to the far end. If Whiteley had been run out there, you'd have to say it was his own fault, because he took a moment or two to respond to Jake Libby's call, but just the way he hung his head after he'd had a big swish at it, I thought he'd been bowled probably.
Yeah. It was a bye, wasn't it?
55 for 4, 6 extras now. Libby again cuts into the offside. Jake Paul will tidy up. One more to the total, and another over comes close to its conclusion. Carter none for 15. This is the last ball of his third over. Partnership worth 45. Nice looking shot from Whiteley. 57 for 4. At the end of that over, an over that brought 6 singles, and Worcestershire put into bat. Really need an acceleration from somewhere.
Yeah, just saying they haven't put any pressure on the bowlers is not their fault, these two. I think when you come together at 11 for 4, there's not a lot you can do. But what we normally see in T20, you imagine, you see it all the time with Clark and Hales and Duckett at the top of the order. Such is their ball strike, and the bowler is under pressure. The bowler is worried about where to bowl. He's not calm. He's trying different things. Well, we've not seen that at all tonight. The bowlers have been so relaxed, just getting the ball exactly where they want to get it. And it's been a top-class performance from the home side so far. Stephen Mullaney is coming on now at the Radcliffe Road end, his second over. He bowled 1 over from the other end, went for 7. He's in now, bowls to Whiteley, and Whiteley goes for a big hit on the leg side, and he has hit it straight down the throat of Joe Clark at long on. Never really got hold of it, and Mullaney picks up his first wicket, and Worcestershire's troubles are deepened even further now with Ross Whiteley, their biggest hitter, and the most likely, if anybody was going to do something spectacular, has gone. Caught by Clark at long on off Mullaney for 15, and Worcestershire are 57 for 5 in the 13th over.
Partnership of 46. Didn't quite get hold of it, did he? If he had, I'm sure it would have been threatening us up on the middle tier here. The Radcliffe Road end, it went a long way up, but Joe Clark always underneath it, was never likely to put that one down. And Notts have got that important 5th wicket, that of Ross Whiteley, a danger man. Here's Ed Barnard out to join Jake Libby. They did cross, so Libby will be on strike on 28. Stephen Mullaney has the tidy looking figures of 1 for 7 at the moment in his second over.
And he's coming in now to bowl to Libby, and Libby just drives this one away on the onside. They pick up a single as Duckett comes off the mid-wicket boundary to do the fielding. Ed Barnard, the new man, quite capable of scoring quickly, not necessarily with big hits down the ground, sometimes quite inventive, likes a little ramp and a little paddle, a little reverse, but be struggling to do that successfully here because we've got 2 men behind square on the offside, and Mullaney indeed is moving them even closer together, so it's 2 sort of short third men really, as he comes in and bowls to Barnard, who drives this back to the bowler, does his own fielding, no run. 58 for 5 Worcestershire in the 13th over. I think they've beaten their lowest ever T20 score, which I think was 53. Here's Mullaney into bowl to Barnard, who dabs this down on the offside, and they go through for a very quick single.
I have news on the power play where it stands in history. Craig Tranter, Dave, I don't, in relation to your question, I don't know what the lowest power play score is in T20 Blast history, but the lowest in the IPL is set by Rajasthan Royals, 14 for 2.
Here's Mulaney in, bowls to Libby, who is out, caught at backward point, came down the pitch, went for a big hit on the offside and sliced it to backward point, where Sol Budinger took the catch. A pretty easy one, to be fair, and Worcestershire are in deeper trouble now, 59 for 6, and then desperate straits really with Libby, who, well, he's been steady and he's pushed it around, but it's not his game really to smash it. Came down the pitch, tried to have a go at Mulaney, but went.
It's always the way, isn't it, Frank? You can imagine at the start of the over, Whiteley and Libby said, well, we've got to try and push on a bit or we're not going to get anywhere. And, you know, now they'll be back sat next to each other in the dugout thinking, well...
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because they've both gone in the same over. Yeah, Craig, the lowest in the IPL history, 14 for 2, 2009 Rajasthan Royals against the Royal Chargers Bangalore. Mike Brown, is the rumour true? Samit Patel really can walk on water? Nigel King says this one isn't going to be a tie, and Andrew says, what's the longest a side has gone without hitting a boundary? No idea.
The new batsman is Ben Dorsus, and he's off the mark to his first ball, which he just pushes out on the offside, and Mulaney does the fielding. I haven't seen much of Dorsus with the bat. I think I've seen a bit on YouTube of him biffing it around, but well, he's got a great opportunity to make a name for himself here. 60 for 6, Worcestershire at the end of the 13th over. Just 3 runs came from it. And no, I don't think this one's going to be a tie either. And I don't think, well, if Worcestershire don't get 100, then I can imagine Hales and Clark just finishing it in rapid order. But you never know. You never know. We've all seen too much cricket to make too confident a prediction.
It's going to be Matt Carter to bowl his final over. It was Samit Patel and Stephen Mulaney that arrested that Lancashire momentum at Old Trafford on Sunday. Both bowled miserly spells, and the pair of them have done it again here, sharing 5 of the 6 wickets. Here's Carter bowling to Ben Dorsus, the Australian left arm quick, 60 for 6. Still to come Ish Sodhi, Dylan Pennington, Charlie Morris. Hope Ish gets a very good reception. He was very popular when he was here. Lovely fella. Dorsus can't get this one away, so Carter starting with a couple of dots. Kevin Hardy says, looks like Worcestershire want to go and watch the football tonight. It's the football on. 14th over. Dorsus will get a single here, just playing it into the offside. 61 for 6. So Jake Libby out for 29 in the previous over. Second catch of Sol Budinger's T20 career. Held a skyer at Old Trafford on Sunday. Carter bowls, and this one's nicely manipulated on the leg side by Ed Barnard. Moves on to 2. 62 for 6 in the 14th over. So Carter will be the first to be bowled out. Figures of none for 18 at the moment. He's done a good job as well. Bowls and chopped down into the ground by Dorsus. Just 2 runs from 5 balls in this over. That's not helping the cause either. Carter to the left-hander. He'll get a single here, stroking it into the offside. Well bowled Matt Carter, 63 for 6. Carter's finished 4 overs, none for 19. You'll take that all day long from your big tall off spinner. Well bowled Matt Carter. The wickets this evening have predominantly belonged to Patel, who at the moment is 3 overs 3 for 3. Mulaney 2 overs 2 for 10, and Jake Ball getting the other wicket.
Yep, 63 for 6 off 14. Not 1 over has gone for double figures, which is another unlikely stat really in a T20 game. The most we've had was 9 off the 11th over. It's been excellent stuff from Notts and disappointing stuff from Worcestershire. Just the one partnership of any significance, that between Whiteley and Libby for the 5th wicket, 46 they added. But other than that, it's been a sorry tale. Stephen Mullaney from the Radcliffe Road end to the left-handed Dorsus, who pushes into the offside, and Samit Patel does the fielding. Mullaney in his 3rd over, 2 for 10. 2 catches as well. They had a good evening so far. They're not skipper.
And won the toss.
Yeah, he's in again now. Bowls, and Dorsus gets a single. Pushes out on the offside. We've hardly seen a real shot in anger from anybody. The only time that people have tried, they've got out. So Vessel's tried one, Fell tried one, Libby tried one, Whiteley tried one, Cox tried one.
Is it still just the one boundary from...
Just the one boundary.
From Ross Whiteley?
Yeah, just the one boundary. Extraordinary. Maybe the pitch is not easy to play shots on. We'll have to see. There's Mullaney bowls, and this one's heaved away on the leg side. The crowd are getting excited because they thought there was going to be a catch. Barnard having sort of got a thickish top edge to that one, but it drops just short of the fielder coming in off the leg side boundary. And Barnard gets a single, takes him on to 3. 65 for 6 now. In the 15th, Mullaney to the left-handed Dorsus is in, bowls, and Dorsus cuts this out on the offside. And they'll take 1.
Oh.
Great sliding stop. There's going to be a run out. Oh, it's chaos. Oh, it's chaos. Well, I'll recap it. Cut by Dorsus. Brilliant sliding stop on the boundary by
Jake Ball.
Fired the throw in, and Tom Moore's, well, he went to gather it. I'm not quite sure why he didn't take the bells off. Barnard was way out. He was halfway down the pitch, Barnard. And had he knocked the stumps with his pad and knocked a bail off in gathering the ball, which is why he didn't then complete the job?
He'd left his stumps, hadn't he? He'd gone quite a way from
but
the stumps to gather
the ball.
it. Yeah.
I'll have another look at the replay in a minute. Here's Mullaney. They got a single anyway. Mullaney to Barnard, who pushes out on the offside. And they take a single. Barnard running through. He can hardly believe he's still there. I should think he was 2/3. He was a good halfway down the pitch, wasn't he? Before he realised that Dorsus wasn't coming. Turned round and went back. Saw the throw come in. Saw Moores gather it and must have thought, well, I'm dead.
It's a great bit of work from Ball, actually.
And he got in. It was great work from Ball. Here's Dorsus getting a single, pushing this one out on the onside. They only take 1 this time. Discretion is the better part of valour on that occasion. End of the over. 5 runs from it. 68 for 6 off 15.
Sooner or later, we've got to get Mr. T20 himself back on, Samit Patel. Is it going to be now? Matt Carter's finished. Somebody's got a bowl from the far end. Now it's going to be Jake Ball to have another one. Just wondering if Samit might not get a 4th, because he could go Ball Fletcher for the last 4 overs. We'll have to see. Jake Ball 1 over 1 for 5. Certainly nothing wrong with going Ball Fletcher, but when Samit's bowled 3 overs 3 for 3, I'm sure he'll be licking his lips at the prospect of getting another one. 68 for 6.
The live feed's a long way behind us, so I'm going to see if I can have a replay. Have a look at the replay on that run out one. I think Tom Moores might just have knocked a bail off with his pad, and then when he gathered the ball and turned, he saw the wicket was already broken. I'm not sure.
68 for 6. Can of course still execute a run out, can't you?
Yeah.
Demolish a stump, but
he didn't have a lot of time.
No. Dorsus on strike on 6. Ball round the wicket. Bowls to him. Oh my word! He's gone for the big heave over there. The big Phil Mickelson drive down the 7th fairway and completely missed it.
Samit's loosening up. I reckon he's going to get his 4th. You try stopping him. He's going through his gym routine out there at extra cover at the moment.
I don't know. 3 for 3, Samit looks good in the book. You might go for 20 in your next over.
Stop.
3 for 3 is very nice. 68 for 6. There's fielders moving in all directions at the moment. That's as a result of a swish and a miss. Heaven knows where they'd have gone to if Dorsus had got hold of it. Here's Ball into Ben Dorsus, backs away and then cuts it behind square for 4. Left his rule. Second boundary of the Rapids innings, and again it's hit by a left-hander. Ben Dorsus cutting it away it was a little bit of jiggery pokery. There's a lot of movement around in the crease from Dorsus there, and I think Jake Ball was in two minds and second guessed himself, bowled outside the off stump, and Dorsus had backed away and cut it behind square for 4. 72 for 6 in the 16th. There's ball again. Umpire Blackwell watches on. Next one is squeezed out onto the leg side for a single, and they'll swap over for the right-handed Ed Barnard, the man from Shrewsbury. Pay your money and take your choice. Same part of the world as Joe Clark and one or two others.
I watched
Taylor
that replay.
as well.
I watched that replay. Took it cleanly, but he was just too far away. You're right, and Barnard got back. He hadn't knocked the bails off, so just cleared it up in my own mind, Dave. That's the main thing. I didn't know what had happened.
73.
Yes, Shrewsbury, he says. Barnard. Some people say Shrewsbury. He says Shrewsbury. Joe Clark from Worcestershire, which is just up the road, I think.
Barnard has 4. He's on strike. Here's Jake Ball to bowl to him. Just dropped on the leg side. No real sign of intent yet from Ed Barnard. One more to the total. It all went wrong. If you're just joining us for the Rapids in the first 3 overs, they were 6 for 3. Samit Patel picking up all 3 wickets right at the top of the order. Brett D'Oliveira in the first over, Ricky Vessels and Tom Fell in his second. And Jake Ball dismissed Ben Cox, and Worcestershire found themselves 11 for 4 at the end of the 4th. 74 for 6. This next one is hit by Dorsus to deepish mid-off position. Mullaney had gone back onto the discs, and Dorsus gets through for a single. 75 for 6. Even with a following wind, you'd imagine 110, 120 would probably be the
maximum.
Yeah, the limit here. 75 for 6. I want to make sure they get into 3 figures, I think, for their own personal sense of well-being. This one's lifted up and over, the old Brendan Taylor shot, but didn't quite execute it there as well as Brendan Taylor used to. In fact, it took a lot of the pace off the ball, I think, Ed Barnard, trying to just scoop it over where a slip cordon would be. Just gets a single, and it's 76 for 6, 8 from that over, with a boundary, the second of the innings. And Jake Ball now 2 overs, 1 for 13. Samit Patel has handed his cap to Dane Patterson, who's run on the field as 12th man, got the orange bib on, and he runs off with Samit's cap, so it will be Samit Patel. And what's going to happen here? Is he going to turn 3 for 3 into career best figures, or is he going to be wishing he hadn't had this final over?
Oh, he won't go for many, will he? He won't go for many. I mean, that 100 he's talking about, they'd buy you enough for that now, I think. If they could score 8 and over off the last 3. Here's Patel round the wicket, balls to Barnard, who cuts nicely but doesn't get a run because very well fielded at backward point.
Budinger again.
Budinger, yeah, where he took that catch. Patel again, round the wicket, balls, and Barnard pushes out on the onside. 2 dots to start the over for Samit Patel. He's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. And well he might. A master of his craft in this format of the game. Comes round the wicket, balls to Barnard, pushes this one through, it's another dot. As Dorsus and Patel collide. That's a meeting of 2
It's a
mighty
catch weight
men.
contest, isn't it?
Yeah. At the non-strikers end, no run, another dot. Can he bowl another maiden? In he comes, bowls to Barnard. He can't bowl a maiden because Barnard sweeps this one, gets a sort of bottom corner on it and gets it down to deep square leg for a single. Takes the total to 77 for 6, just 2 fours so far in this Worcestershire innings, and we're in the 17th over. Just 14 deliveries left in the innings, and just 2 boundaries. I've not seen a T20 innings like this that I can remember. As Patel comes in and bowls, and he beats Dorsus with a quicker one. Clever bowling from Patel. Dorsus went back, tried to cut it, annoyed with himself because if he had got a bat on it, it might well have raced away down to 3rd man. Changing the field now. Wanting him to hit across the line. Big gap on the leg side 3 saving, 1 on the off. Patel bowls and Dorsus is beaten again outside the stump. Fantastic over from Samit Patel, and those figures absolutely amazing. 1 run off it. Samit Patel, take a bow. He's getting a tremendous round of applause from the Notts faithful. 4 overs, 1 maiden, 4 runs and 3 wickets. Absolutely magnificent performance from the veteran all-rounder. He's having a great season in this Vitality Blast competition, and he won't ever bowl better than he has tonight, I shouldn't think. 4 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 4, 2 overs remaining. Sorry, 3 overs remaining. Worcestershire are 77 for 6. Did I say 14 balls left when I meant 20? I did, didn't I? Luke Fletcher to continue.
I don't know, we've got 18 left. So Fletcher's had 1 over, none for 3. Got through the overs fairly quickly as well, Frank. We've only been playing just coming up to the hour, a minute or two to 7 o'clock. Yeah, Frank, as he goes to do his updates, makes a good point. Yeah, they haven't been having to chase after the ball too many times. 77 for 6. 23 from 3 will take Worcestershire to 3 figures. Fletcher bowls. This one's gone underneath the bat of Ed Barnard. Tom Moore's standing back, obviously. Takes it cleanly. 77 for 6. BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Hereford and Worcester, with Frank Watson and Dave Bracegirdle at Trent Bridge. A lovely, lovely evening here for T20 cricket, and lovely to see plenty of people out in the ground watching. Barnard has 7. This one will go down the leg side, and that'll be called. Surely that's going to be called by Ian Blackwell. Not. He's got away with that. That looked to me to be well, too high and leg-sided, but Ian Blackwell just giving his reasons to the batsman. Chris Ellis says, all I've managed to find so far is the lowest power play score in the IPL history, just confirming that Rajasthan Royals 14 for 2. Thank you very much, Chris. Worcestershire 20 for 4 at the end of the power play here this evening. Here's Fletcher, 2 dots, bowling to Barnard on 7. He's missed that, just hit outside it, and the ball went somehow between the bat and the off stump through to Moores. 3 dots. He's been catching. Bowlers taking it in turns here to bowl miserly overs. 6th over of the innings went for 8. 9th over of the innings went for 8. It's and the 16th went for 8. Yep, none more than that. Next one is bottom edge down, very close to the stumps, and Ed Barnard just can't get down the other end. Ben Dorsus leaning on his bat. 12 from 16. Barnard 7 from 15. Three wickets early on to Patel. A catch at slip for Mullaney. One at backward point for Matt Carter. There was a stumping for Tom Moores. Jake Libby was caught by Sol Budinger. Ben Cox skied to Mullaney, and Ross Whiteley did the same to Joe Clark. Fletcher in again, bowls, and Barnard can't get this away. Now Luke Fletcher, 5/6 of the way through a maiden. This is the 18th over. This is terrific. Luke really didn't know whether to be happy or sad at Old Trafford on Sunday, I can tell you. Notts came back to earn that tie. He was a little disappointed, obviously, that the 5th ball of that final over went for 6. There's Fletcher. This one's hit into the offside, and they get a run, 78 for 6. And as you join me, you can hear what the crowd really think of this Nottinghamshire performance at the moment. They're absolutely loving it. There's only 2 overs left in the Worcestershire innings, and they are 78 for 6, and that represents something of an almighty fight back, because they were 11 for 4 after 4 overs, 20 for 4 after the 6 overs power play. Samit Patel this evening has finished with 4 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 4. Patel getting 3 wickets in the first 2 overs. Came back later on to bowl another miserly over. Luke Fletcher's just done the same. It really is all knots at the moment. Worcestershire just not been able to get the ball off the square. In fact, in these 18 overs, they've only hit 2 boundaries. 2 overs to go. Worcestershire 78 for 6. It's going to be Jake Ball to bowl the 19th over. That's an update, obviously, for local radio listeners. Steve Battlemuch has been in touch, as that's one of the best sets of overs I've ever seen in person. Incredible stuff from Samit. I think we're just about ready for some cricket to break out. There's a whole lot of nothing going on at the moment, but now we're ready. Here's Jake Ball, then round the wicket to Barnard. And the first ball of this over is hit up in the air. I think it's going to clear Alex Hales at mid-on. It does. They take a couple of runs, 80 for 6 as Frank comes back. Just 1 ball into the over, Frank, 80 for 6.
Yeah, what an over from Luke Fletcher that was. Fantastic, clever. Got the Yorker in about 3 times, got the slower bouncer in, deceived Barnard with that. To concede 1 run in the 18th over, magnificent effort. Just been superb. They've been, as dismal as Worcestershire's batting has been this evening, Notts have been absolutely top draw. As Ball bowls and Barnard goes for a big hit on the leg side. This time he doesn't make contact and the ball goes through to Tom Moores. A slower one, that one angled across the right-hander and died a little bit as it went through to Moores. All the bowling has been executed well. Got a great start, of course, picking up a wicket in the first over, and then 2 in the 3rd over. But the bowlers have been relaxed and confident. They've executed their plans perfectly. Worcestershire just haven't had an answer. Ball in again, bowls round the wicket to Barnard, who drives up to long off, and he is caught by Joe Clark at long off. So Barnard perishes. Almost every Worcestershire player that has attempted a big hit tonight has perished when they've tried to do so. Joe Clark gets his 2nd catch at long off, and Ed Barnard is gone for 10. Worcestershire 80 for 7 in the 19th.
Catching practice, wasn't it? Feel a little sorry for Ed Barnard. He really did struggle to manipulate the ball. Wasn't given anything really to free his arms to have a hit at throughout his tortuous spell out there. He faced 20 balls in all, made 10 from 20. I mean, that is not a reflection of how good a cricketer he is. It's just a reflection of the situation he's found himself in, and you know, as well. You know, you nailed it on the head. Fletcher bowled a brilliant over to him.
Ball round the wicket to the left-handed Dorsus. The batsman having crossed. Dorsus gives himself room and he's yorked by Jake Ball. Perfect delivery in the circumstances. Batsman giving himself room. What do? Get the Yorker in. And that's exactly what Jake Ball has done. And that just bears out what I was saying about the execution by the Notts bowlers tonight. It's been absolutely top draw. I mean, when they have a team meeting and they plan what they're going to do and they think what their plans are going to be at various times, everything has gone to plan. From the minute that Samit Patel turned that ball and got Brett D'Oliveira caught at slip in the first over, and Worcestershire were 1 for 1. Since then, the bowlers have executed their plans superbly, and as I keep saying, as a Worcestershire man, I'm very disappointed by what I've seen, obviously, but I think there are 2 sides in every game, and as a commentator and a neutral, if I can be for a moment, I look at this performance by Notts. I've rarely seen a better bowling performance in a T20 game, certainly in domestic T20, than what I've seen tonight. It's been superb.
Never been a hat-trick for a Notts Outlaws bowler in T20 cricket. There's been one from a Worcestershire bowler in years gone by. We'll test Frank in a second. Here is ball in, bowls, and Dylan Pennington, who of course made his first-class debut on this ground in that pink ball match 4 years ago, has missed it. Who's the only Worcestershire bowler to get a hat-trick in T20?
I do know this, because it's not the first time it's been mentioned, but I'll have to have a little think. I've done my captains, by the way.
You've got your captains.
I don't know if I've got them all, but I've got a good...
At the end of the innings,
got a good few,
before we have a little break, we'll just do the captains.
80 for 8.
Ian Fisher against Gloucestershire in 2009 at New Road.
Ian Fisher?
Yeah.
Oh, we'd never have got that then. His ball round the wicket, bowls to Pennington, who pulls away on the leg side, but he only gets 2 as fielded by Harris, I think it was out there, and they go back for 2, so 82 for 8 at the end of the 19th. Another really good over from Jake Ball, just 4 runs coming from it, and 82 for 8 off 19. Ish Sodhi is the new batsman, he's yet to get off the mark. Pennington is on 2, and Jake Ball 3 overs, no maidens, 3 wickets for 17 runs.
Yes, he'll be another one, a guest that will feel perhaps a little cheated, only getting 3 overs, 3 for 17. Look at Fletcher's figures as well up there on the board. 2 overs, none for 4. Patel, 4 overs, 4 for 4. Mulaney's just manipulated them around nicely, hasn't he?
2 boundaries in the whole innings. I can't ever remember it. It's incredible. You'd expected Nick more than 2 boundaries, wouldn't you? It's incredible. It just shows how well they've bowled, how well they've fielded, how well Mulaney's fields have been set. Everything about this Notts performance has been on the money tonight.
Makes a little bit of a nonsense of our pre-match chat off air, wasn't it, about the respective strengths of sides in the group. 82 for 8. Here's Fletcher in, and this one's just squeezed out by Sodhi. He'll get a single. Just to let you in, obviously I've seen the Notts games this year, and I've just felt they were a little light. Obviously they've got no overseas bowlers, and it has seemed that Notts are going to need 200 on the board, really, with the bowling unit as it has been. But they've stuffed those words down my throat, and anybody else who sort of doubted them over the first few games. 83 for 8 as Fletcher comes in again. This is it into the offside. Will only be a single. In fact, they've got to be sharp to get there, and they do. As Mulaney throws towards the stumps. 84 for 8. There's 4 balls left. 4 fours would get to an even 100. When you've only had 2 in the first 19 overs. To hit 4 in a row would perhaps seem a little fanciful. How many fielders have Notts got outside the circle? No, they're okay. They're okay. Here's Fletcher in to Sodhi. A swish and a miss. It goes through to the wicket keeper. And this over following the trend of the previous one. The batsman just can't get him away.
Just imagine the crowd feel a bit cheated. They come along expecting to see the ball fly into all parts, don't they? It's certainly been the most unusual T20 innings I think I've ever seen. It really has. 2 fours.
84 for 8. Here's Fletcher to bowl to Ish Sodhi. Just a single to his name. That's too high, surely. The umpires are looking at each other. And Ian Blackwell says 1 for the over. I think that's perhaps 2 that Fletcher's got away with, banging them in short. Sodhi did come charging down the track though, which sometimes gives you a different perspective on it, but I don't know about you, Frank. I thought that one was very short.
Yes, well, Ish Sodhi
very
did
high.
too. Ish Sodhi did, didn't he? Made it quite clear with his gestures. But it's immaterial really, isn't it?
84 for 8.
This is not going to be a 1-run game.
2 balls left. Fletcher bowls. Sodhi will get a single here, pushing it into the offside. Charlie Morris can take his pads off, the only one of the 22 players not yet to take the field, and he won't need to do so until he begins his bowling stint in 11 or 12 minutes time. 85 for 8, last ball of the innings. A very strange score line it's going to be, whether it's for 8 or for 9. Whatever it is, it's only going to be in 2 figures as Fletcher comes in to bowl to Dylan Pennington, and he's trying to get that one many a mile down the ground. He'll only get a single, and Worcestershire finished on 86 for 8. Luke Fletcher without a wicket, but he's bowled 3 overs, none for 8, and that's a good comeback for Luke Fletcher after going for a few runs in the last couple of matches. Samit Patel's going to take the headlines quite rightly with figures of 4 overs, 3 for 4, but there's been some terrific individual bowling performances from most of the rest of the bowling unit, if not all of them. 86 for 8 after 20 overs. Brett D'Oliveira out for 0, Ricky Vessels for 2 and Tom Fell for 3. That was 6 for 3 early on, all the wickets to Samit Patel. Ben Cox then went for 3 to Jake Ball, that was 11 for 4. Ross Whiteley out to Mullaney for 15, 57 for 5. He was followed back by Jake Libby, out again to Mullaney in the same over for 29, 59 for 6. And Jake Ball took 2 wickets in 2 balls, Ed Barnard for 10 and Ben Dorsus, I've not written his score down.
12. Yeah.
Forget the noise. Ignore what lurks in the darkness. That feeling in the pit of your stomach. Doubt. Fear. When it's your time to step up, will you be more than the rest? More than expected? Be more. Be more outlaw.
So after, quite frankly, an amazing performance with the ball and in the field, the Rapids finish their innings on 86 for 8. As you can see, me, Director of Cricket Mick Newell joins me. Mick, that's, I've not really seen a performance like that in quite a while. An absolutely amazing performance from the Outlaws there.
Yeah, I think the levels of skill that we've shown with the ball, starting with Samit from the very first over, and you look at Ball and Fletcher at the end and lots of stuff in the middle, but I'd pick out those 3 as displaying their control, their skill, their ability to deliver Yorkers, in Fletcher's case, at a level that we haven't seen for a long time.
Now, you mentioned those 3, and we'll talk about them individually now. We always talk about the power play. It's such an important part of T20. As you said, Samit first over to just break that opening partnership. It kind of gets the ball rolling, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the first ball of the game he beat Ricky Vessel's defensive shot, so straight away they're thinking, crikey, this is spinning a little bit. D'Oliveira then nicks it to slip, so straight away there's a bit of doubt, a lot of doubt in their minds to see the ball spinning. And then the over that he came back and bowled, he got Ricky out and he got Fell out, and he said, 3 wickets in the power play. They say, well, that was 3 wickets in 3 overs.
It was indeed. Samit's figures at the end: 4 overs, 4 runs, 3 wickets. Yeah. You just don't really see that very often. Rapids power play 20 for 4. It really did set up the rest of the innings, as you mentioned there earlier, for the likes of Luke Fletcher, Jake Ball to do what they do at the end of the innings, which you said is like bowl those wide Yorkers, the slower bouncers, all those things that you just don't expect as a batsman.
Well, that's what you've got to have, that bag of tricks. Jake and Fletcher have got a bag of tricks, and they deliver them brilliantly. We don't always get it right. You don't always get that Yorker right. Sometimes it can be a shin-eye full toss or whatever. But I thought Fletcher bowled his Yorkers brilliantly, and Jake's getting better and better. His confidence is growing. He's had a poorly back. He seems to be getting better, but getting quicker. And as I say, delivering those variations with real skill as well.
Now, we always have to mention that you can't necessarily judge the pitch or that score until both teams have batted. Now, in that dressing room now, from the Outlaws' point of view, there will be concentration, focus. There's still a job to do, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I would think we'd come out quite hard. I don't think we'll poke and prod our way. I expect us to go quite hard from the beginning, knowing that we've got depth of batting. But I think the best way to chase a low score on a pitch is to try and get that, knock the bulk of them off in the power play, which certainly Clark and Hales are capable of doing.
And I suppose really the pressure is all on those Worcestershire bowlers, isn't it, really? Can they deliver to the standard that Notts did? And it gives the likes of, Hales and Clark a bit of freedom to know, as you mentioned just there, there's a little bit of depth behind them.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think we'd have to be bowled out not to win this game, so they've got to take wickets. If we get a good power play, we could be halfway there or even more than halfway there. So I think the power play is still crucial. It's always crucial, but in a low-scoring game like this, are we going to come out and go quite aggressive and try and make a big dent in that?
And I think that's something that's really interesting, because why would we want to change our philosophy of how we play T20 cricket? It doesn't matter what's on the scoreboard.
No.
I know that Pete has a way that he wants his teams to play T20 cricket, and that shouldn't change right now, should it?
No, I mean, look, if you put 100 runs on their score and it's 186, we'd come out aggressively. So I expect us to come out aggressively. Certainly Joe, from the word go, I think he'll go, as I say, try and make a big dent in the first 6 overs, so that the pressure then is completely taken off. Everything's on Worcester, they've got to bowl us out almost, really.
And it's such an important game, this, isn't it? Because it's so tight in this North group. If we look at the result that we got against Lancashire at the weekend, it was a point that potentially we might not have really should have got, but they all add up, and it's so tight that 2 points here will be really crucial, take us to the top of the group.
It takes top, will it? Well, yeah, look, I mean, I think you're probably now working between 5 or 6 teams going for 4 spots, realistically. Worcester would be one of those 5 or 6, so let's put a bit more of a gap between us and them. That's crucial. Big game Friday with Derbyshire, always a big game anyway, and Lancashire Saturday back here. So, we're playing our real challenges in the top 4 or 5 in Worcester and Lancashire, and we want to get that gap so that we can get the home quarter final. We might even be allowed a few more people by then.
Fingers crossed. Just talking about the crowd, actually, how much does a performance like that really inspire the crowd here tonight to just back the boys when they come back out?
Well, I hope so. I mean, our crowds are always brilliant. We have a good record at home over the years. We've done very well at Trent Bridge. We make it difficult for other teams. We have the occasional loss, like we had against Warwickshire. But then Friday night here, Derby, there weren't many in because it was such a horrible night. But hopefully people, if they weren't here, they enjoyed watching it from home. So, again, tonight there's a lot in, there's a lot at home. Let's hope that we can give them something to be pleased about by about 9 o'clock.
I echo every word you just said there, Mick. Thank you very much to Mick for joining us. Well, we'll leave you basically with the match coverage team now to see how the Notts boys get on. Alex Hales, Joe Clark will be coming out to bat very shortly. The target is 87. Let's see how they get on with our match coverage team.
Well, the umpires are on their way out to the middle. Ian Blackwell and Ben Debenham. They're followed by the Worcestershire team, led by skipper Ben Cox, and emerging from, as we look, from the Radcliffe Road end, from the left-hand side of the pavilion, as we look, the two Nottinghamshire openers, Joe Clark and Alex Hales, make their way out to the middle. Notts require 87 runs to win. It will take them to the top of the North Group. Yes, there's a lot of cricket still to go. There's one or two sides that would have a game in hand, but it would be a very satisfactory position for Notts to be at the halfway stage after 7 matches of the 14. We didn't earlier on have time to, and I guess it's not going the way he would want, but to wish Alex Gidman, the Worcestershire head coach, a very happy 40th birthday. I'm sure later on he'll be more than happy to drink a glass of refreshment brought to him by Frank as they go over the game later on the way up to Headingley. But happy 40th to Alex Gidman. But it's not exactly gone the way, Frank, that he would have wanted.
No, it certainly hasn't. And I think that's fair to say this has probably spoiled his birthday. Not much doubt about that. Coaches take these sort of things very seriously. Ish Sodhi to start the first over of the Notts response, and he starts from the Radcliffe Road end with a full ball, which is driven by Joe Clark wide of fielder at cover Tom Felt, and they take a single, so Notts underway. The target is a mediocre, if not paltry, 87, but anything could happen. Only 2 boundaries in that entire Worcestershire innings. Sodhi comes into bowl to Hales, and Hales drives up to mid-off and thinks about 1, but says no as Ben Dorsus comes in to do the fielding. Sodhi moving away from us with the number 18 on his back. Bowls now short to Hales, who swivels and pulls this away on the onside. Only gets a single because it goes straight to Ross Whiteley at deep mid-wicket. Total goes to 2 without loss in the first over. The Outlaws, who won the toss and chose to bowl, and from the minute that Samit Patel picked up a wicket in the very first over, it wasn't a decision that they regretted. Sodhi is in again now, bowls googly to Clark, who picked it, I think, because he got inside it and worked it away with the spin out to Whiteley at deep mid-wicket, and they pick up the 3rd single of the over. 3 without a loss. Sodhi will now bowl to Hales again. 2 balls left in this first over. Sodhi is in, and Hales gives himself room and slams this into the covers, but straight to Barnard. Bit of gamesmanship there. Gave himself room, then walked back into his stumps. Sodhi threw the ball up, and Hales managed to drive it into the covers. Sodhi's prompted to change the field, moving Whiteley round to deep cow corner, really, a lot straighter than he was before, and bringing a man over from the offside ring into a conventional square leg position. He's in, he bowls, and Hales picks up the first boundary of the innings, picking the googly, and he helping it on its way over backward square leg for 4. So the end of the first over from Ish Sodhi, and Notts already have their first boundary on the board. They're 7 without loss.
First boundary hit this evening by a right-hander in the 21st over of the innings. 7 without loss. That first over, a little strange in that it was bowled for Worcestershire by a former Notts bowler, and the 2 batsmen, of course, representing Notts, have both played for Worcestershire.
Yeah.
I know Alex Hales only had 1 game on loan, but it still meets the criteria of that stat. It's going to be Ben Dorsus to bowl to Joe Clark, 7 without loss. I've had Peter Hilton come on praising Samet. I'll just read his tweet in a second. Ben Dorsus is going to bowl to Clark. Here we go, second over, and Clark gets the second boundary, hit by a right-hander. In fact, I'll save that stat until Frank comes back. He's just away to update listeners in your part of the world, if you're following us from the BBC Hereford and Worcester area. Pictures available, of course, on the live stream. Many thanks to the camera crew out there doing a terrific work, and Kirsty and Aaron in the production department. Just got a slight hold up here. I wonder if the ball has either been contaminated and needs a wipe, or been damaged, but the two umpires are getting together. That one was slapped away into the boards. Didn't see who threw it back, but the ball is getting a extra special little bit of attention before it's thrown back to Ben Dorsus. 11 on the board. Outlaws require 76 more. We'll take them to the top of the North Group if they are successful. Next ball just run down to Tom Fell at third man. Clark on to 7. Clark has had 1 century this season in the Blast, making 136 against Northants. That's his 3rd in this competition. 2 now for Notts and 1 for Worcestershire. In fact, both his other hundreds before that Northants one came against Durham, who must hate the sight of him. Alex Hales, he's had a 96 not out this season against Durham. They probably hate the sight of him as well. Hales gets a boundary here, lifting it up and over Ross Whiteley in the covers and away for 4 more. 16 without loss. Joe Clark, the only Notts batsman so far to have scored over 200 runs in this season's competition. Without loss. Dorsus, well, 3 overs, none for 9. Just waiting for my update for BBC Radio Nottingham, which is imminent. So we'll attend to that. Here's Dorsus. Hales stands tall, upright, brings the bat down, chops it down to third man for another single. 17 without loss. They have indeed. I was just wondering what our song would be here at Trent Bridge to accurately reflect what we've seen. Quite extraordinary, really. Worcestershire put into bat by Stephen Mullaney, just making 86 for 8. Quite a strange-looking scorecard. There were only 2 boundaries in the entire innings, but they were really playing catch-up from as early as the 4th over when they were 11 for 4. 3 early wickets to Samit Patel, who bowled his 4 overs, 3 wickets, just 4 runs conceded. Luke Fletcher bowled his 3 overs, none for 8. Couple of tight overs from Stephen Mullaney as well. He picked up a couple of wickets. It was an excellent display by Notts. Worcestershire just really struggling to make up for lost ground early on. But now, of course, we've got Alex Hales and Joe Clark. This could be a different kettle of fish, as they say in these parts, because Clark and Hales have got off to a bit of a flyer. We've had 2 overs of the Outlaws reply. They need 87 to win, and already after 2 overs, 22 on the board. Frank's back alongside me. Frank, just before you went, Peter Hilton said many years ago Dilip Doshi had figures of 8 overs for none for Notts in the John Player League. Samit's figures are right up there with those. Right. I have a funny feeling, Peter, I'm not disputing it. I know Brian Langford of Somerset, who you'll remember, Frank, he had 8 overs, 8 maidens, none for none. I've half a mind that Doshi was 8 overs and went for just 1 or 2 runs. I think it was Langford the only one who went none for none. But
yeah, I thought it had only been done once.
But
played against Dilip Doshi a few times.
Did you, by Jove?
I used to bowl every over from one end for Walsall in the Birmingham League for a year or 2. Ish Sodhi from the Radcliffe Road end bowls to Clark, who drives beautifully through the covers and A tumbling attempt by Dorsus. Has he taken enough pace off it to stop it? He has. And they'll get 3, not 4. So 25 without loss after 1 ball of the third over. This game is going to be over very, very early tonight. Yeah, Dorsus used to turn up in his whites, get out of his car, walk onto the pitch, bowl 26 overs from one end, field at mid-on, didn't break a sweat really.
Understand he's a very, very nice fella.
Very, very nice man, very, very good bowler. Here's Sodhi into Hales, and Hales goes big on the leg side, and that's 4. Beats the man out on the leg side boundary. 4 more, they're going for it. It's going to be over very, very quickly this. Already we go to 29 without loss.
Charlie says, I've just come in from a parents' evening, looked at the score, Worcestershire 86 for 8. Clearly the bowling unit has functioned this evening, Dave. It did, Charlie, it did.
It certainly did. It functioned brilliantly. 29 without loss. Sodhi got a problem now with Hales on fire. Bowls, and Hales again goes big over the offside, and 4 more for Hales. Great time to be a batter this.
Yeah.
You go out with a low score, the fielders' heads are down, the bowlers know that they can't, there's no room for margin for error. You get a few away to the boundary, and it's absolute carnage.
He hit Stephen Croft of Lancashire for 5 consecutive 4s at the start of Knott's innings on Sunday, and then threw it away, hit one up in the air.
I'm going to predict this is over before 10 overs. And that's not really that bold a prediction, is it, to be fair? 33 without loss in the third.
Duckworth Lewis says at the bottom of the board, Frank says they should be on 8 at this stage to be ahead.
Here's Sodhi. This could be over very quickly. He's in, he bowls, and Hales goes big again on the leg side, and that's 6 more. Over backward square, flat, never got above about 15 feet in the air, but Hales and Clark making light of this very mediocre target.
Thanks to Steve Crawley, who says, I was there. Doshi, 8 overs, 7 maidens, 1 for 1 against Northampton.
1 for 1, thank you.
Thanks very much, Steve, and thanks very much earlier to Craig, was it, who put it there.
Here's Sodhi again. 39 without loss. He bowls to Hales, who gets 4 more through the covers this time. Absolute carnage here at Trent Bridge. 43 without loss, the Outlaws. In the third over, they're halfway to their target of 86. 87 to win. Yeah, Doshi, I remember it's the only time I opened the batting, it's the only time I've ever swept the first ball of the game, because he came on, bowled left arm over the wicket, on a used wicket, into the footmarks outside leg stump.
10, 14, 18, 21 from 5 balls in this over.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about Dilip Doshi. Let's talk about what's happening.
No, sorry.
Here. 43 without loss. No, seriously. I mean,
yeah.
we did. Let's give credit to these two. They've set about it magnificently. Hales 32 off 11. Waits now. Sodhi comes in.
Oh.
Make that 38 off 12, because that's short from Sodhi, and it's pulled away for 6 over backward square leg. The crowd are loving it. I also think they're going to be feeling a little bit disappointed at the end of the day, because they turned up expecting to see a close game, and it's turning out to be anything but absolute carnage. Hales is 38 off 12, and Notts are 49 without loss off 3 overs, 27 coming off that one.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Feel for Ish Sodhi a little bit. 2 overs, none for 34. Dylan Pennington is the one that's been either drawn the short straw, or you'd like to think he's the one that's put his hand up and said, give me a go, Skip, I'll get him for you.
I tell you who I feel sorry for, Dave. Ben Cox.
Yeah.
First game as a captain, and it's gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Well, the only way is up,
since
as they
he
say.
Called the toss
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah.
The only way is up.
Yeah.
Go to Headingley tomorrow night, do everybody a favour and beat them by 8 wickets. There's Pennington to bowl to Joe Clark, who's pulled this away onto the leg side. They'll only get a single, and that's the 50 up after 19 balls, start of the 4th over. 50 without loss. The Rapids 50 came up in the 11th over. Clark has 12. Hales is on a flyer here, 38 from 12. 2 batsmen had a chat. Probably just congratulating each other on the 50 partnership. Dylan Pennington to Alex Hales, who's in the mood, and he's hit this into the offside, and that's not quite carried. Very, very nearly threw it away there. Is that Vessels with the? Yeah. Should know it'd be Vessels with the turquoise footwear. He used to wear the Outlaws green when he played here. 50 without loss. Good man travelling the deep, Ricky Vessels, but he's inside the circle in the covers. This is short and will be pulled away by Hales. He didn't mean it to go there, but he's got 4 more. It's 54 already on the board. Only 33 more required. And this is a little bit one-sided at the moment. I'll just flip it back though. When I said at the start, Party Poopers Worcestershire, they've won their last 3 T20 games here. They've won 5 of their last 6. So there has been better days on this ground for the Rapids in the past. 54 without loss. Dylan Pennington bowls down the leg side, pulled away by Hales into the shins of Ish Sodhi. And they only get a single. 55 without loss. Big loss, Moeen Ali, but I'm not even sure that Moeen could have turned this one around on his own, but who knows, he'd have been out there in certainly batting in the top 3 for Worcestershire and might just have steadied the ship. There was a little bit of chaotic thinking seemingly at the start. Tom Fell was stumped, but he was that far down he was almost run out. This is down the leg side, and Ian Blackwell, who didn't call a couple earlier on to Luke Fletcher, does call that one, and it's the first extra of the innings. 56 without loss.
I think it's important for Worcestershire that they don't get too down about this, and it's important that when you win really well you don't get too carried away. It's a long season, bound to have a couple of difficult nights in this competition, I think, with the games coming so thick and fast.
Absolutely spot on, driven away. That's a lovely cricket shot by Joe Clark, actually. Just advanced towards the bowler and just caressed it through the covers. That's a nice bit of timing. 60 without loss. Coach Watson will enjoy that one.
Magnificent. He's a brilliant striker of the ball, Joe Clark, isn't he? No question about it. Few better players to watch than Joe Clark, in my opinion, when he's going well. And that was absolutely magnificent piece of timing. Not kind to his fellow Salopian.
Clark is on 16. I'll pull this onto the leg side to move on to 17. 61. I did have a stat when Clark got to 16, and where is it? Yes, he's just gone past James Taylor, another fellow Salopian, to go 11th on the Notts all-time run list. So he's only been with Notts, this is his 3rd season, 11th on the T20 list, but not surprising really. He's up the top of the order and has been banging out runs during his time with Notts. 61 without loss after 4. We had one of the poorest power plays. I think there's no denying that. It could be on for one of the higher ones here. 61 after 4.
I wonder if Hales and Clark have said, let's win it in the power play. It's not
26 required.
It's not impossible by any means. Win it in the power play. Goodness me, that would be a little bit embarrassing.
Crikey.
Dorsus is going to bowl over the wicket from the Radcliffe Road end, and he's going to be bowling to Joe Clark, the aforementioned. 17 off 9. Hales 43 off 15. These two, probably the most explosive opening partnership in the Blast, I think. Certainly in this group. I mean, Levy and Rossington can give it a bit of a crack for Northants, but they've had a pretty dismal season so far.
Adam Lydes, you might run into him tomorrow night.
Yeah, we got him out cheaply at
Live and Cola Cadmore.
Yeah. Well, Bairstow and Cola Cadmore put Worcester to the sword last week.
Yeah.
Bairstow's innings, I think Ben Cox said it was the best one-day innings he'd ever seen.
Not sure what we're waiting for.
Somebody's moving behind the arm, I think, or there's some problem with the screen.
A whole lot of nothing going on.
Joe Clark not happy.
Catch him.
Finally he is. In comes Dorsus, left arm over the wicket. to Clark. Bowles, and Clark advances down the pitch and throws the bat. Not his best shot, that one.
Catcham says, Frank's just said, perhaps some of the Notts fans will be a little disappointed by what they've seen tonight, not seen enough cricket. He says, no, they won't. After 2 ties this season and a number of other close finishes, this is just what the blood pressure needed. Give me some dull wins for the rest of the season.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I like T20 when it's close. Here's Dorsus. He's in, he bowls, and Clark drives, and a misfield at backward point. And they get a single. Jake Libby, I think, fielder. Unusual for him. I like T20 when it's close and when it's tight and you nip and tuck, and that tied game that did swing both ways. But this has not been a particularly good spectacle from a neutral point of view, I think, tonight. Certainly not from a Worcestershire point of view. Anyway, here's Dorsus bowling to Hales. He's in, he bowls short. Hales pulls, it's a slower, shorter one, and Hales waited for it and then, pulled it over mid-on for 4. An unusual shape of shot, really, from Hales.
You need to be 6'6" to be able to play that, don't you? You can't coach that to somebody who's 5'9" or 5'10".
And you certainly can't coach waiting for the ball like that. It was absolutely brilliant timing. 47 of 16 balls, Alex Hales. 66 without loss. Dorsus in, bowls, and Hales goes for a big hit, but again Dorsus defeats him with a change of pace there. He's quite clever at this, Dorsus. And sort of thing we've seen from Pat Brown at Worcester over the years. Pat Brown, sadly, not in the side at the moment, suffering with injury. But Hales on that occasion not able to cope with the change of pace. He waits again now as Dorsus comes in, bowls, and this time he smashes a short ball over mid-wicket for 4. Absolutely brilliant. 50 for Alex Hales, 18 deliveries for his 50. Superb shot. 8 4s and 2 6s, 9 4s and 2 6s. And the crowd loving it. Alex Hales then 50 off 18 balls, 9 4s and 2 6s, and the power play win is definitely on. 87 the target, and they have raced on to 70 with 1 ball left in this 5th over. Dorsus bowls, and it's 4 more for Hales. Full and wide outside the off stump, timed brilliantly, steered down to 3rd man. Really clever shot. Hales in absolutely prime form. End of the over, and 74 without loss off 5 overs. This is going to be one of the fastest wins that I've ever seen in T20 cricket, if not the fastest.
Chris Ellis has kindly been in touch, all sorts of lists of fast 50s for Notts. He said Hales' quickest is 16 balls against Derbyshire in 2010. Thanks, Chris. He's got Ricky Vessels with a 17-ball one. That was against Worcestershire. He's put here, there was a quick one at New Road when he hit all those 6s as well, wasn't there, from Ricky Vessels. I think Dan Christian's had 1 or 2 quick ones, but there we are. We'll look at all that sort of thing perhaps over the next day or two. It's 74 on the board after 5 overs. That means 13 are required. Frank thinks it'll be over in the power play. It's down to Charlie Morris to prove him wrong. And it's started with a big leg side wide, so that didn't help the cause. Hales 55 from 19, Clark 18 from 11. This pair, I think, put 72 on at New Road before it all started to unravel and ended up in that tie. Sam Kelsall, who we know and love in these parts, former Notts batsman, says, for goodness sake, pick Alex Hales. Next ball is just dropped on the leg side by Joe Clark, takes a single and puts Hales back on strike. Julie says this is clinical. Is that a good word?
Absolutely clinical, isn't it? Absolutely. Clinical dissection of the bowling attack. And a clinical dissection of the batting lineup. Yeah. Brilliant. They've been brilliant, Notts. As poor as Worcestershire have been, Notts have been magnificent, I think. It's like a 7-0 in football or a 9-0, isn't it? It happens now and again.
Yeah.
when one team gets everything right and the other team
but
gets
they've all had a
everything
bad
wrong.
night at the same time. They've all got it out of the way at the same time. And as you say, it's,
You'd hope so.
it's the first night of a 2-night away trip. 76 without loss. Morris to Hales, who moves around. Oh, they're going to get a bye here. Ben Cox has perhaps got 1,001 things going through his mind and took his eye off the ball there.
I bet he has.
Ben Cox, who mentioned it when we played against Worcestershire before, will be hoping to get a game or two for the Trent Rockets on this ground later in the summer. But of course Tom Moore's playing this evening for Notts Outlaws. He's the other batsman in the Trent Rockets squad. Morris bowls, Clark clips it to deep mid-wicket. We're halfway through the over, Frank. 78 without loss. 9 are required from 3 if they're to do it in 6 overs.
Yeah, I still think Hales could do it easily.
78 without loss. 9 required from 87 balls is the equation.
Our score is 19.
You've got to feel for them. You've got to feel for them. Here is Charlie Morris bowling, and Hales can't get that away. That's a dot ball.
Oh, he's let me down, isn't he?
Ricky Vessel's doing the fielding. As I said, though, Worcestershire have a fine record on this ground in this format, but one or two of those chickens have come home to roost this evening. It's been a poor evening from the get-go, as they say. I hate that word, yet use it quite often. 78 without loss. From the start.
Americanism.
Yeah, from the start. In the hole. 78 without loss. Next ball, short. Hales again has to go deep into his crease, trying to pull it away on the leg side. Gets a single. 79 without loss. And unless it's a no ball or a wide, they can't win in the power play overs. So is Ben Cox going to send 5 out to all parts after this over?
The get-go is one of the Americanisms creeping in, and gotten is another one I've noticed creeping in, isn't it?
It is. 79 without loss. Clark is on strike. On 20, comes down the track. He's not going to leave it to Hales. He has helped this into the Smith Cooper stand over deep extra cover for 6. That was a lovely shot from Joe Clark. Advanced towards Charlie Morris and just helped him into the seats. And Notts are just a couple of runs away from winning this one. They have had 6 overs. On the live stream it says at the end of Worcestershire's power play they were 20 for 4, Notts 85 without loss. It's not their best power play ever, but it's not too far short, and you'd take 85 any day of the week.
Well, Ed Barnard's coming into the attack. I'll let you do the honours, Dave. Talk your team through to victory. Absolute carnage as far as Worcestershire are concerned.
Crowd having a little bit of a sing-song, and you can't deny them that. One or two might be heading off to watch the football a little earlier than they thought. One or two might just sit around and just reflect on what they've seen. Here's Barnard, 2 Hales, 2 needed. Oh, and a swish and a miss. Ben Cox is standing up to the stumps. Hales 56 not out. It's second time this campaign that he's gone past 50. 96 not out against Durham. Barnard in. Bowles hit out into the offside, and that's the winning runs by Alex Hales. It's a 10-wicket win. It was Hales and Nash in the quarter-final against Middlesex, the last time that Notts put a 10-wicket win on the board. That was 2 years ago. Notts going through to finals day. Is this squad strong enough to go through to finals day? Well, that remains to be seen, but at the halfway stage in the group, Notts have gone top. They've inflicted a huge victory over Worcestershire this evening, and the visitors will very quickly want to get back to the changing rooms and get away from Trent Bridge and put this one to bed. It's Alex Gidman's 40th. It's not been the evening he would have wanted. The Notts players coming out onto the outfield, they'll shake the hands of the Worcestershire players, or touch elbows or knuckles or whatever. As I say, you've got to feel a little bit for Worcestershire, but they have had great days here on this ground. Alex Hales finishes 60 not out, Joe Clark 26 not out. Notts have won after just 6.3 overs there by 10 wickets, and it really has been as one-sided as that sounds. Samit Patel, you'd imagine, had there been a gold award up for grabs this evening, would get it, although very often the TV people like to give it to the batsman, don't they? Maybe Hales would have stolen it from him, I doubt it. Samit Patel 3 for 4. The Rapids 86 for 8. Frank, I love commentating with you, but it's not been for so long tonight. And,
No.
and I really genuinely do wish your boys well for the rest of the season, and particularly tomorrow night at Headingley.
Well, thanks, Dave. Yeah, it's one of those nights for Worcestershire. They had a bad night last week against Yorkshire when Johnny Bairstow put them to the sword, and the batting has let them down tonight. And you can't have any complaints at all. You just got to say the better team by far won on the night. Brilliant from the Outlaws, very, very ordinary from the Rapids. And well, I was saying to you, Dave, before the game that some of us look at Notts and we look at the lineup and we see the strengths, not the weaknesses, and we say, how can this team not win every game? And when they perform like they did tonight, I think that view is really justified. Samit Patel, magnificent. Fielding, catching, everything was spot on. And Hales and Clark, well, there are a few better partnerships than that. They could easily open the batting for England in T20 cricket, those two. Magnificent performance by the home side, magnificent victory, and no complaints whatsoever from a Worcestershire point of view. But certainly Worcestershire viewers and listeners will be hoping for a much better performance at Headingley tomorrow.
Frank, safe travels. Wish you well, and so too Worcestershire and all their supporters. Many thanks for your company this evening. To those of you following us on the BBC Sport website and app, again, many thanks to you. We'll be back, or I'll be back on Friday from Derby, along with Colin Fray. We'll be doing the East Midlands Derby. Frank will be with Jonathan Doidge up at Headingley tomorrow night. For you Worcestershire supporters, please tune in for that one. For those of you following on the live stream here, many thanks to the cameraman and to Stoneheart Media for their production this evening. And in just a moment, if you stick around, follow the live stream, Aaron will be out there and he'll have one or two players to have a chat with. From Frank Watson, myself, Dave Bracegirdle, thanks for your company. A very good evening from Trent Bridge.
Forget the noise. Ignore what lurks in the darkness. That feeling in the pit of your stomach. Doubt. Fear. When it's your time to step up, will you be more? More than the rest? More than expected? Be more.
So at the end of the match, it is a win for the Notts Outlaws, taking just 6.3 overs for the boys to get the runs required, and they ended up 89 for no loss. As you can see, I'm now joined by Jake Bawley. I said to Mick Newell at sort of like the halfway stage, I don't think I've seen a performance from us with the ball like that for quite a long time. It seemed that everybody, contributed, yourself, and to restrict the Worcester to just 2 fours in their innings is something pretty special. You must have been very pleased as a bowling group.
Yeah, we was. We actually had a bit of a chat before the start of the game about about our boundary count and sort of trying to keep it down a little bit. I didn't think we was quite going to be as good as he was today, but this can be a very tough place to defend, and Samit obviously set the tone incredibly well, and then the rest of us just carried on with him. I think sometimes in games like that you can drift a little bit, but I feel like that we kept our foot right down the whole way, and I think that was something that we have talked about in the past, about not drifting for a couple of or 3 overs or whatever it might be. I think for the whole 20 overs everybody in the field was on. I think we fielded well, bowled well, and obviously the batting speaks for itself.
Yeah, I spoke to Mick Newell about the fielding as well, because I know that's something that obviously as a group we speak about, and you can always look at +1s and -1s, etc., and things like that. But like you said, it did feel that it was just an all-round great performance, but as well, you need to go and get the runs, and that's what the lads did as well.
Yeah, I mean, I actually made a slight joke because they was walking out. Yeah, I made a little joke. I said, "Can you make it done for 8 o'clock so I can watch the football?"
So you
just dragged me out here.
I know, yeah, sorry about that.
But no, that was special. I think I was walking off with Fletch and Mull after our bowling, and I said, I don't think the pitch is as bad as they sort of made it look. I think they just got off to a really slow start and then never really gained any momentum. I don't think it was a terrible pitch by any means, but I think I think our batters just showed there what they can do on any type. I think sometimes we can get pigeonholed as a team that only plays on good pitches. I think we just proved today that we can play on slightly slower pitches, and the two lads out there proved what they can do on it as well. It was incredible to watch. Barely had time to have a cup of tea.
I know how much you do love your cup of tea. One thing that you just mentioned earlier, I won't keep you long because let's be honest, we all want to go and watch football.
We do.
But you spoke about how Trent Bridge is always, it is a difficult place as a bowler, especially in the power play. From a power play point of view, 20 for 4. So, the wickets obviously are massive pluses in T20, but just to restrict to 20 runs, you bowl in the power play. Just how much did that set up the rest of the innings as a whole?
It set up a lot. I think we talk about having had a couple of games where we haven't taken wickets in the power play. It allows the opposition side to play with a lot more freedom. So we actually want to be a little bit more attacking in those first 6 overs because, we found that this year teams are just going so hard in the power play. The only way to restrict them is by trying to take wickets. And obviously Samit first over, you get 2 in his first over, 1 in his first over, something like that. It was a perfect start, and then we just carried it on. Like I said earlier, it was just I don't like to use a perfect game, but it's as close as you're going to get. I think it's as close as you're going to get.
What would you change about it if you could change anything? You'd probably restrict them from less runs. But
I don't
take
think
the final 2 wickets.
I don't think I probably would change anything, to be honest. I think it was just everybody got something from the game. I don't like to use a perfect game because I think we're always striving to be better and do better. But I think the way that the games have gone this year, I think that's close to as perfect as you can get.
And you mentioned Samit. He's there behind you. He's probably going to come and just run on the stream because that's Samit.
That's what he does.
A special performance from the man. He's had a good couple of games, really, hasn't he? But just a word for Samit.
Not many words that I can use that haven't already been used about Samit. I think playing in front of crowds is Samit. I think he obviously had a good year last year, but when he gets in front of a crowd, he just seems to, especially the Trent Bridge crowd, they love him. He just seems to turn it up, and you can tell when Samit's on in a game. He's buzzing around everybody. He's giving you a little tap on the bum as he goes past, just cheering everybody up. He's a life and soul of the dressing room, and we love playing with him because he can do things like that. If it's not with the bat, it's with the ball. And even in the field, he was excellent in the field today. Something that he's not usually renowned for, being an amazing fielder. But he works so hard at his game. It's good to see. And
just finally from you, because I am going to let you go. What can this do going forward? We've been on a good run, a point away at Lancs, coming off the back of 3 wins on the bounce as well. A win here tonight, and especially in the fashion that we've done it. Trip to Derby next. What kind of momentum is building in that dressing room right now?
There's obviously good momentum. Whenever you put in runs of games like winning together, you're always going to gain momentum. I think Mull talked at the last game about peaking at the right time, and obviously we've still got quite a few group games to go. But we're looking to learn all the time. Each season you come and play something different. Somebody's trying something different. You're always learning, and I think obviously we've done that really well this year. We're adapting to what other teams are doing against us, and we just keep coming on the right side of it. I think we just keep doing what we've been doing, and hopefully we just keep winning and go back to back.
I tell you what, you could have a career in coaching after that. I mean, I'm motivated.
I'll take it.
I'm motivated.
Thank you
very much, Paulie. Congratulations for your performance as well as the team's. I'll let you go off and watch the football. But thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Okay.
We're just
gonna bring Samit in now.
Want him in now, yeah?
Yeah.
Samit,
yeah.
come on in.
I mean, do you want to interview him or?
No.
Do you want to ask him a quick question?
No.
No?
Definitely not. Have you ordered the pizzas?
No.
I don't know whether you picked that up. The answer was yes to that.
Yes.
Samit, it's always good to do an interview with you, mate. Pretty special. You've had. There you go. Yes. So basically, a lot of people are your fans out there, but after your performance, I mean, 4 overs, 4 runs, 3 wickets, you can't really get much better than that, can you? Come on.
Yeah, again, it was a great night, and obviously one of my better nights with the ball. And obviously, couldn't really have asked for a better start. Wicket, second ball, and then it kind of just rolled from there. We see it spin, and I just landed it in the right area, to be honest, and then let the wicket do the work.
I mean, a wicket in the second ball, but your first ball kind of showed everybody what you were potentially going to do with the ball, but also what the pitch was doing at that moment as well. But I just spoke to Jake about the bowling group as a whole, and Jake rightly said that you started that ball rolling, but it felt a real group effort with the ball, but also in the field as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we pride ourselves on good fielding, and that kind of sets the standard, set the tone with ball and field. And we've probably been off the boil a little bit in the first 6 in a couple of games, and then Mull said in the group that let's start well in the first 6 and obviously get a grip, and getting a wicket in that first over helped massively to contribute to that. But yeah, it was a great team performance.
And Worcester, they're a rival of ours. They're always going to be up there. They've qualified for finals day, the last couple of years, won it as well recently. So to say that we've had ties with them in the past, especially that first group game for us, is it nice to actually get that win, but also get the win in the manner that we did?
Absolutely, especially when we should have won at New Road. That kind of stung us a little bit, to be honest. From the position we were in at New Road to then not to get over the line hurt us a little bit. And then we kind of owed it to them, really. We set out as a group that we have to get one over this lot tonight, and to put in that kind of performance. People don't normally see the practices, but the way we have practiced recently has been second to non-practice, to be honest. Highly skilled bowling, and people don't see that. And the way we bowled tonight, for them to only get 2 or 3 boundaries in the whole innings.
So two fours, that's all they literally scored in their 20 overs.
That's unheard of. It's just the way we go about our business, and that's a very high standard that we've set tonight. And obviously when we do go for runs, everybody will thinking, well, we're below, but we're actually not. That's not the way T20 cricket is and how it is played. We were just better than Worcester tonight, but they're a very good team. They probably didn't have Mo playing tonight, but that's only one bloke coming out of their team. But as I said, they should get the respect that they do, because they are a good team.
It kind of felt when everybody was sort of coming in this afternoon that there was just kind of like another vibe, that everybody was really in a good mood. There was a lot of chatter, there was a lot of kind of just positivity around the camp, and that's not to say that there never is that, but it just felt something a little bit different tonight, and I think maybe that was replicated in the performance. Would you say that? Or
absolutely. I think that, as I said before, we've worked really hard. We know how to play T20 cricket. We're very successful at it, but hard work always pays off. That does it. So look, we're high, we're confident. We need to go to Derby and then back it up the performance. We've got a big game on Saturday again against Lancs here. 2 massive games. The Derby day, no one has to get me up for that, but it's going to be a good one on Friday night.
And I think that's really important, isn't it? It's great to enjoy this moment, but like you say, there's tough games coming up, and it's about enjoying the moment today, but then tomorrow and the day after that, focusing in on those 2 games coming up, because they're back to back, aren't they?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Tough on the body. 3 games in 5 days is pretty tough. So as I said, Derby at Derby, got to be up for that one, and then Lankies back here, which are 2 very good teams, and I think that Lancs on any given day can beat anyone. So it's going to be a good game.
I think you'll have a few fans at Derby as well that might say a few things to you.
Yeah, Derby, as I said before, they don't like me and I don't like them.
And I suppose we'll leave it with that. Just one final question from me. Did you have your pads on ready to go out and bat?
I did.
I thought so. There you go. Thank you very much, Samit. You can put the mic down. Thank you very much. I mean, as we've mentioned already, what a performance from Samit Patel. 4 overs, 4 runs just from those overs, and 3 wickets. It was really a fantastic performance by every Outlaw that you saw tonight. Just to restrict Worcester to that score is pretty unheard of. But as Samit's just said there, you enjoy the moment, but then you get back and focus for the next game, which is away to Derby on Friday. We will be back here on Saturday for the visit of the Lancashire Lightning. It's all getting very tight up the top, and what a performance from the Outlaws again. 2 points tonight against the Rapids. But once again, thank you very much for joining us on Trent Bridge Live. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we will see you at the weekend.